Chapter 1957. You can bully my mommy. Yuan thought, being embarrassed is fine. It's better than being caught by those people outside. You grow accustomed with experience. It's not like this is the first time. Seconds after Yuan spoke, a tiny figure wearing cartoon pajamas walked out from another room. When Yuan saw that thin figure, she was taken aback. Tang Tang. Yuan exclaimed at the also surprised Tang Tang. Mommy, why are you here? Joy surfaced in Tang Tang's eyes when he saw Yuan. Tang Tang, aren't you at school? Yuan reflexively asked. Madame Nye previously told her that Tang Tang was in school, so why did he show up at Yi Shuihan's house all of a sudden? Master said learning martial arts is more important, Tang Tang replied. Yuan instantly glared at Yi Shuihan. Why is such a small child learning martial arts? How dare you stop my baby Tang Tang from going to school? Yi Shuihan glanced at Yuan. So just who are you? Yuan, Master, she's my mommy. Tang Tang quickly walked in front of Yuan, protecting her behind him. You can't bully my mommy, Master. When did I bully your mom? Yi Shuihan asked calmly. Don't bully my son. Yuan rebuked with a frown. Yi Shuihan's gaze shifted to Yuan. When did I bully your son? You won't let my son go to school. That's bullying my son. Yuan was bold and self-righteous. Tang Tang guiltily glanced at Yuan. Mommy. This isn't Master's fault. It was me who called Master and asked him to pick me up from school. Baby, at your age, you have to go to school. Do you understand? Yuan lectured. But mommy, the classmates and teachers at school are all too foolish. Tang Tang sounded exasperated. I don't want to be with simpletons. Yuan, after thinking about it carefully, to Tang Tang, putting him with his peers was rather incompatible. Yuan never doubted that her and Si Yihan's baby would be a genius. Before Yuan could answer, a knock rang out from the main door. Tang Tang, open the door, Shuihan ordered. Don't. Yuan hastily stopped Tang Tang. Mommy, what's wrong? Tang Tang frowned lightly, detecting the peculiarity in Yuan's expression. A second later, the door was kicked open with a bang from outside. Several young men and women swiftly entered. We meet again, the leading thin man greeted expressionlessly when he saw Yuan. Are you dogskin plaster? Why can't I get rid of you? Yuan asked. Give me the ring, and I'll spare you. One of the women turned to Yuan. Who are you? Ice filled Tang Tang's eyes as he looked at the youths who invaded the house. Aren't you too arrogant talking to my mommy like that? Child, this has nothing to do with you, the woman coldly shouted with an irritated expression. Tang Tang looked at the woman like she was an idiot. I told you already. She's my mommy, but you say it has nothing to do with me. It appears you're just as stupid as my classmates and teachers. Chapter 1958. A real man doesn't boast about his past achievements. The woman was instantly infuriated. Child, all of you, what do you think my home is? Yi Shuihan slowly walked forward in his cartoon pajamas, a trace of impatience in his husky voice. Brother Yi, why are you here? The thin leader was startled when he saw Yi Shuihan. Oh. I was wondering who it was. So it's people from Direct Line, Shuihan aloofly said. We're very sorry, Brother Yi. We didn't know this was your home, the thin man apologized with a bow. Pay for the door and leave, Shuihan stated. Yuan looked at Yi Shuihan with a strange expression. Yi Shuihan knew these people. Also, what did Direct Line mean? When the young men and women brought here by the thin man learned that this man wearing cartoon pajamas, who seemed to have hypersomnia and was extremely easily enraged, was Yi Shuihan, astonishment emerged in their eyes. The strongest man with the highest achievements in martial arts in the history of the independent state, the one and only. So your elder brother Yi. We've always heard about you from our superiors. The Direct Line is truly blessed to have your support. The young woman from earlier stared at Yi Shuihan, admiration brimming from her face. Ha, brother Yi is from our direct line, the thin man said with a chuckle. Yi Wanwan, freaking. Yi Shuihan was a part of them. Did she freaking escape to a tiger's den? What was happening? Indeed. Brother Yi's mother is a member of our direct line, so brother Yi is naturally a member of our direct line as well. The woman hastily nodded. The thin man turned to Yi Shuihan. Brother Yi, there's a mission from above us that requires us to take this woman's. Before Yi Shuihan could respond, Tang Tang protested with a frown, Master, you can't bully my mommy. Yi Shuihan stared at Tang Tang. When did I bully your mommy? Yi Shuihan's gaze landed on the newcomers again. I remember I just told you to pay for the door then scram. Brother Yi, the young men and women were shocked by Yi Shuihan's words. But this is an order from above, the woman hastily objected. What do the people above have anything to do with me? Yi Shuihan grew increasingly irritated. My master told you to scram. If you don't scram, only death awaits you. I won't repeat it again. Tang Tang coldly stared at the intruders. Fine. I'll wire the cost of the door to your account, brother Yi. The thin man instantly made a decision and left the house after one last glance at Yi Wanwan. After the intruders left, Yi Shuihan's gaze settled on Yi Wanwan. So it appears you have my house key because you're treating my house as a sanctuary. Yi Wanwan, no way. I'm treating you as a sanctuary, knight-errant Yi, not your house. Of course, Yi Wanwan naturally wouldn't vocalize that. She wasn't dumb. You're the mighty president of the Fearless Alliance, but you can't even beat those people. Yi Shuihan's next words jolted Yi Wanwan in fright. No. Yi Wanwan was incredibly embarrassed. Do you really think me a fool? The person who installed my door is a member of your Fearless Alliance, right? I've met him before, Shuihan nonchalantly replied. Yi Wanwan, Big Dipper, that unreliable fool. I told him to conceal himself better. He actually got unmasked. What? You dared to challenge even me back then, but you've turned into this now? Yi Shuihan asked expressionlessly. As they say, a real man doesn't boast about his past achievements. Chapter 1959. Are you talking about Lord Azura, mommy? Knight-errant Yi, when did you discover my identity? Yi Wanwan was really curious. However, Yi Shuihan completely ignored Yi Wanwan's puzzlement and aloofly said, I truly don't have any interest in knowing your identity. Who you are is unimportant to me. Yi Wanwan, no wonder he was the strongest man in the history of the independent state. His words were so flashy and arrogant. She couldn't refute them at all. Couldn't she preserve some of her pride in front of her darling son? Didn't Yi Shuihan know there was a better way of speaking called mutual complimenting? Knight-errant Yi, you know those people from just now? Yi Wanwan inquisitively asked. Those people seemed to be fascinated with her ring, as though they wouldn't give up until they got it. However, she didn't know anything about them. Yi Wanwan wasn't afraid of being robbed. But when she didn't know anything about the other person, that was terrifying. They're from the direct line, Shuihan answered. The direct line? Yi Wanwan was dumbfounded. She knew what the direct line was. But what did he mean by, they are from the direct line? Was the direct line a faction? This traces back to the origin of the independent state, Yi Shuihan explained without holding back. They are the descendants of the group of people who founded the independent state. What do you mean? Yi Wanwan was further dumbstruck. What did this have to do with the people who founded the independent state? Currently, the ancient clans of the independent state are considered collateral branches, and those people from earlier are considered the direct line. Wait, Knight-errant Yi. What you're saying is that the direct lines and the collateral branches are both descendants of the people who founded the independent state. However, a dispute arose between the direct lines and the collateral branches, so they separated? Yi Wanwan frowned. That's right. Yi Shuihan nodded. Precisely speaking, the collateral branches chase the direct line out of the independent state, so the direct line conspires to destroy the collateral branches and regain power. Isn't this too freaking melodramatic? This kind of drama exists. Logically speaking, the direct line's position and bloodline are higher than the collateral branches, but everyone in the independent state came from the collateral branches. The collateral branch kicked the direct line out of the independent state. Would you be able to tolerate that if it were you? Yi Shuihan asked. I couldn't. Yi Wanwan frowned deeply. She remembered that Si Yihan was a member of the ancient Si clan, which meant Si Yihan was also a collateral branch. Direct Line planned to eradicate the entire collateral branch, so didn't this mean her man would also be in danger at that time? Knight-errant Yi, are you from the Direct Line? Is that why you wanted to annihilate the ancient clans? Yi Wanwan furtively probed. That's none of your business, Yi Shuihan said. Since Yi Shuihan was unwilling to say, Yi Wanwan wouldn't get to the bottom of things, so this question was dropped. However, it had to be said that this Yi Shuihan seemed to know a lot of things. If she had the chance, she had to think of a way to weasel information out of him. If she failed, she could ask Tang Tang. After all, Tang Tang was Yi Shuihan's disciple, so perhaps he knew something. Oh right, baby Tang Tang, let me tell you something. Do you still remember the man who resembles your dad a lot from last time? Yi Wanwan nervously asked. Tang Tang was a bit resentful that his mommy kept talking to his master and ignoring him, but his eyes instantly brightened when his mommy finally paid attention to him. He tilted his head and asked, Are you talking about Lord Azura, mommy? Chapter 1960. As long as you two are happy ah. My son is too adorable when he tilts his head. Yi Wanwan couldn't resist tousling the little fella's hair. That's right, him. What do you think about him, baby? After successfully gaining his position as his mommy's pet, Tang Tang's eyes squinted in an expression of pure bliss. When he realized what she said, he looked up and asked, Mommy, have you fallen in love with someone else? Cough 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 cough, a fit of coughing seized Yi Wanwan. It took half a day before Yi Wanwan managed to stop coughing. She felt like she had to establish an exemplary image for her child, especially since she was certain Si Yihan was baby Tang Tang's real father, so she absolutely couldn't let him think she had a bad relationship with his real dad. And so, Yi Wanwan hastily refuted, Ahem, how could I? Mommy loves your daddy the most still. But when we were at Gourmet Street last time, I felt like you liked Lord Azura a little bit, Mommy, since you kept looking at him, Tang Tang said. Imaginary tears involuntarily streamed down Yi Wanwan's face. Tang Tang was seriously sired by Si Yihan. He's too smart, I'm not. I didn't. Nonsense. No way. Actually it's like this, you know how your dad is in China and can't meet with us, right? I kept looking at Lord Azura because, yes, to console myself with false hopes. Yi Wanwan finally mustered up an excuse. Console myself with false hopes. Tang Tang's expression was complicated when he heard that. Baby Tang Tang, who insisted he didn't play with idiots just a minute ago, nodded. So it's like that. That's right, it's like that. Your mom clearly took a fancy to him, all right? Yi Shuihan interjected with a raise of his brows. Baby Tang Tang instantly solemnly rebuked, You're not allowed to say that about mommy. Yi Wanwan also admonished, You're not allowed to drive a wedge between my son and me. Forget I said anything. As long as you two are happy, Yi Shuihan muttered. Yi Wanwan didn't expect to accidentally run into Tang Tang in her attempt to seek refuge, so she took advantage of the opportunity and chatted with her little darling for a long time until Yi Shuihan started kicking her out. Tang Tang also couldn't stay there for too long and had to return to the Nye residence, so Yi Wanwan finally parted with him reluctantly. When Yi Wanwan returned to the mansion next door, she took a shower before lying on the bed. She didn't expect those people to be so persistent and chase her all the way to the independent state. Thank goodness that she could cozy up to someone powerful here and managed to avoid any mishaps. The quantity of information she got lately was truly too great. She was lying on her bed, combing through her thoughts, when a flash of lightning suddenly blazed through the sky outside the window, quickly followed by a clap of thunder and pouring rain. Shit! Why did it suddenly start storming? Wild gales whipped outside the window, and the shadows from the trees reflected on the windows were like the silhouettes of ghosts, which combined with the terrifying howls of the wind outside. Yi Wanwan felt goosebumps covering her body. It just had to be this moment when the room lights went out all of a sudden. Yi Wanwan used to keep calling Bai Feng an idiot for liking to live in such a wretched place. She never expected Bai Feng to be her. She herself was that idiot. Originally, Yi Wanwan had almost adapted to this scary place, but the lightning and thunder and the worst thing, the power outage, the level of scariness had rocketed up thousands of times. Alright? Yi Wanwan decisively pulled out her phone to call for help. She was about to call a few people from the Fearless Alliance to embolden herself but wiped that idea after some thinking. Freaking, those people normally treated this place as a mountain made of knives and a sea made of fire. They didn't dare to take a single step in this place. There wasn't a single reliable person. At that moment, Yi Wanwan's phone screen brightened and started ringing. Yi Wanwan directly tossed her phone in her fright but narrowly caught it after some jostling. She finally saw the caller ID, owner of the Independent States Vinegar Factory. Chapter 1961. Like how you really like me. Why are you calling me at this hour? Did something happen? Yi Wanwan asked with surprise after answering the call. After exchanging numbers, Si Yihan had only called her once on his own, and that was already a gigantic breakthrough. She didn't expect there to be a second time. Nothing. I pressed the wrong number, Si Yihan replied. Yi Wanwan, he pressed the wrong number. He actually called the wrong person. Yi Wanwan's expectant expression immediately darkened. What are you doing? The man gently asked from the other end. Si Yihan's voice carried some kind of calming power, and everything outside the window seemed to be isolated from her world. Yi Wanwan instantly felt less afraid. I'm sleeping on my bed. Who knew it'd start pouring out of nowhere? This spooky place is even more terrifying when it rains. Yi Wanwan wailed pitifully. Why aren't you moving elsewhere? Si Yihan asked. I heard I made a bet with someone and said bro flat top, have the guts to live in this haunted house that no one in the independent state dares to buy. If I move away now, where's my pride? Yi Wanwan grumbled. Si Yihan's voice leaked with deep exasperation as he asked, did you shut the windows? I did, that's good. If there's nothing else, I'm hanging up now. No. Don't hang up. The power's out. I'm scared, Ajio, talk to me. Although Yi Wanwan wasn't that scared anymore, her voice turned more pitiful. It became silent on the other end, but as though he was afraid she would be afraid when she didn't hear his voice, the silence only lasted a second or two before he said, all right. Upon hearing this assurance, Yi Wanwan instantly felt like a water dragon re-entering the sea and lost all inhibition. Say, my esteemed Lord Azura, are you sure you called the wrong number? Were you worried I would be scared when you saw the storm, so you called me on purpose? You didn't call the wrong number, am I right? Yi Wanwan asked with slitted eyes. You're overthinking. I'm overthinking. Then tell me, which little vixen were you calling in the middle of the night if you weren't calling Si Yihan? Yi Wanwan, talk. The man sighed helplessly. You aren't scared anymore. Yi Wanwan sweetly answered, because I'm listening to your voice. After chatting a little, Yi Wanwan shook off all her fear and even found it to be rather nice chatting in this kind of atmosphere in the middle of the night. Oh right, Ajio, do you know the conflict behind the Independent States Direct Line and the collateral branches? Why are you asking this suddenly? Si Yihan's voice deepened a few degrees. I'm just asking randomly. I heard the Direct Line is adamant about eradicating the collateral branches. Isn't your ancient Sea clan part of the collateral branches? The battle between these two factions in the independent state has a long history, and the story can't be explained in a few words. Don't get mixed up in this matter, it's unrelated to you. Si Yihan's tone was fairly solemn. Get mixed up into this matter? Am I that free? All my spare time is used to charm you, alright? Fine, we'll stop talking about this. It's not like I wanted to listen to it anyway, it's so boring. Tell me something better. Yi Wanwan cheerily requested. The line, all my spare time is used to charm you, successfully softened the man's tone. Tell you what. Like how, you really like me. And how you can't live without me and are madly in love with me, see Yihan. Chapter 1962 Are You a Demon, Ninth Brother? See Yihan naturally couldn't utter those words, so Yi Wanwan started negotiating with him. It's fine if you don't say it. You just have to come with me to Gourmet Street tomorrow. If you don't come, I'll find someone else. This wasn't a negotiation at all. This was a straight-up threat, alright. I'm busy during the day, so it'll have to be later. No problem. I'll wait for you no matter how late you are. The next morning at Azura's headquarters, Lin Kei had an urgent document requiring Si Yihan's signature, so he directly went to his bedroom to find him but surprisingly didn't find anyone when he got there. And so, Lin Kei went to the study next and found Si Yihan sitting inside. Ninth brother, why are you in the study at this hour? Don't tell me you didn't sleep all night. Lin Kei exclaimed in shock. Damn. Did your chronic illness strike again? Lin Kei asked worriedly. Si Yihan looked up and casually responded, because it was storming last night and the power went out. Yeah, it was pouring pretty bad last night and a lot of places lost power. We also had a short outage. Lin Kei's confusion grew as he said that. What did the thunderstorm and power outage have to do with Ninth Brother not sleeping? I've never heard of Ninth Brother being afraid of thunder and lightning. Ninth Brother, could it be you're scared of lightning and thunder, and scared of the dark? Lin Kei feebly asked. Wanwan's scared. So I stayed with her over the phone the whole night. Lin Kei, who told you to run your mouth off? Who told you to run your mouth off? Why did you have to ask? Si Yihan thought of something and looked up from his pile of documents. He randomly ordered, after the business meal is over, drive me to Gourmet Street. Lin Kei nodded. Sure, but why are you suddenly interested in going to that kind of place? When I said I wanted to go there and take a look last time, you said it was silly. Wanwan wants to go. Lin Kei, Ninth Brother, can't you ask someone else to go with you? Lin Kei asked miserably, about to break down. No. Ninth Brother, are you a demon? Si Yihan glanced at him sideways. You want me to ask Jiang Yan? Lin Kei was rendered speechless. If Jiang Yan found out, he would lose all meaning of life and want to hang himself. As Ninth Brother's confidant and the only person who was knowledgeable about this astonishing truth and this couple's true relationship, the responsibility on Lin Kei's shoulders was seriously too heavy. Way too heavy. Little Red. Do you know how much secret pain your brother, is suffering in your stead? In the evening, Lin Kei accepted his fate and drove toward Gourmet Street. After getting out of the car, they were greeted by a lively scene. There seemed to be some sort of lantern festival held today, and pair after pair of couples filled the streets, sending a 1,000,000-point damage to Lin Kei again. Ninth Brother, are you sure you want to walk around with that girl? What if someone recognizes you too? You'd terrify them to death. Lin Kei was lamenting how he was fretting with concern and despair when a melodious voice called nearby. Ajio, upon hearing Yi Wanwan's voice, Lin Kei automatically turned to the source of the voice. A second later, a girl with a head of long black hair wearing a white, long dress, pure and beautiful as an angel, appeared in his sight. Damn! Yi Wanwan. Lin Kei frantically rubbed his eyes. Today, Yi Wanwan had her hair hanging down and was dressed like a little fairy in her long dress. Who could have imagined this girl was Bro Flat Top of the Fearless Alliance? Even if she ran right into her Fearless Alliance's elders and hall masters, they probably wouldn't dare to recognize her. Chapter 1963 Protect Ninth Brother's Safety. When Si Yihan heard that familiar call, Ajo, he became dazed and felt like a ray of light was aiming straight toward him a second later. In Lin Kei's stupefaction, Yu Wanwan had already bounced toward them and hooked her arms around Si Yihan's arm. Have you been waiting for a long time? Sorry. I had to change a little. You call this change a little? It's more like you changed into a different person. Lin Kei was aghast. He had forgotten how long it had been since he saw Yu Wanwan dressed like this, but with her identity as the president of the Fearless Alliance serving as a contrast now, no other time shocked him as much as this time. Moreover, did this girl carry a voice changer on her? Her voice was so gentle that it sent goosebumps all over his body. Yu Wanwan seemed to have just noticed Lin Kei's presence, and her expression contained a fair amount of displeasure. Why are you also here? To protect Ninth Brother's safety, of course. Who knows what you do to him? Lin Kei purposefully provoked. Yu Wanwan snorted. TSK, how do you know it's your ninth brother who wants me to do something, huh? Damn. How can you be so shameless? I finally understand why Little Red gets angered halfway to death every time. Ninth brother, why aren't you reining her in? Si Yihan glanced at Lin Kei and ordered, wait for me at the tea house across the street. Lin Kei, so he's agreeing with that girl's words, right. What kind of sin did I commit? Why do I not only have to cover for these two and be stuffed with dog food, but now I'm also rejected? After Lin Kei left, Yu Wanwan started leading Si Yihan around Gourmet Street by his arm. People overflowed the streets, so they wouldn't attract any attention while hidden in the crowd, especially since she was dressed like this. However, Si Yihan's face was a bit too eye-catching. Hold on, wear this. Yu Wanwan pulled out a face mask and handed it to him. Si Yihan did as she asked. Although Yu Wanwan felt a tinge of regret at being unable to see that face anymore, she became much more relaxed. Perfect. This way, we can go on our date without any worries. Date? Si Yihan's expression became a bit startled. That word sounded like something from a different lifetime to him, making him feel like he was dreaming. Ajo, am I pretty today? Yu Wanwan couldn't resist boasting about her meticulous primping today. It's not bad. Si Yihan sounded aloof. Yu Wanwan was instantly displeased. What do you mean it's not bad? Compared to normal, aren't I especially good looking today? She was typically dressed in scraggy clothing and sandals. The difference was day and night. However, a second later, Si Yihan stoically said, there aren't any differences compared to normal. Yu Wanwan, was her man blind? Fine. After all, this was someone who could utter, still as delicious, when faced with her heavy and unsightly makeup. So why in the world did she put so much effort into dressing up? Perhaps sensing Yu Wanwan's dissatisfaction, Si Yihan led her to a stall selling cotton candy and asked, want to eat this? Yu Wanwan involuntarily softened the second she saw the cotton candy in front of her. Once upon a time, this guy with his negative EQ didn't even know how to go on a date. It was her who taught him little by little. It appeared there was some progress. At least he knew to buy cotton candy to soothe her. Yu Wanwan firmly answered, yes. Si Yihan turned to the stall owner. How much? Chapter 1964 Dawn, I have the antidote. When the stall owner saw this handsome and beautiful couple, he couldn't help but take a few more looks. The girl's looks didn't require any words, and a person could tell the man had extraordinary looks despite wearing a face mask. However, couples coming to Gourmet Street for dates was an extremely common sight, so there wasn't anything strange about it. As long as this couple wasn't Lord Azura of Azura and Bro Flattop of the Fearless Alliance. The owner passionately replied, it's $10 for one, very cheap. Handsome, buy one for your girlfriend. Upon hearing the owner say, girlfriend, Si Yihan took out a $100 bill and handed it to him. No need for change. Yu Wanwan couldn't help but muse when she saw Si Yihan taking money out. Back then, he didn't even know to bring cash on a date. Now, He finally knows that coming to this kind of place requires cash on hand. After buying the cotton candy, Si Yihan bought a myriad of snacks for her as they ambled down the street. Eventually, they entered a highly popular restaurant. "What else do you want to eat?" Si Yihan asked as he flipped through the menu. As Yi Wanwan chewed on a piece of glutinous rice cake, she mumbled, "I want to eat." "Forget it, I can't eat it even if I say it." "What do you want to eat?" "I can buy it for you." Yi Wanwan pouted. "No need. It's impossible. I can't eat it." Si Yihan wore a stubborn expression as he pressed, "What is it?" Si Yihan." Yi Wanwan propped her elbows on the table and blinked. Tell me, have you forgotten that we're still poisoned by the love goo? Are you sure you don't want to cure it with me? Si Yihan's expression was calm as he poured some tea and retorted, "Don't you have an antidote?" "Damn. Cough cough cough. How did you know? Who told you I have an antidote?" Yi Wanwan's eyes shot open. Shit. Could it be Nameless Nye? Did Nameless Nye, that bastard, also run to you to sell it? Yi Wanwan angrily asked. This was the only possibility after much thought. After saying that, Yi Wanwan discovered something was amiss. Wait. Nameless Nye told me the antidote was only useful if the girl took it, so how could he have advertised it to you? Did Dead Man develop an antidote that could cure the goo through the male side too? Yi Wanwan asked. No. Si Yihan glanced at her before answering, but if I bought the antidote, I could think of a method to make you take it. This way, my poison would also be cured. Yi Wanwan was startled before a realization dawned on her. So Nameless Nye found Si Yihan and told him his goo poison would be cured as long as the female side consumed this antidote. Then he urged Si Yihan to force her to take the antidote. Nameless Nye, you damn bastard. Yi Wanwan's little fairy image successfully shattered because of Nameless Nye. Yi Wanwan dangerously narrowed her eyes instantly. You bought it? Si Yihan met the girls, "If you dare to say you bought it, I'll bite you to death," gaze and responded, "I didn't." Only then was Yi Wanwan's fury assuaged. He sought me out too, but I didn't buy it. You're absolutely prohibited from buying his things. Do you hear me? Why didn't you buy the antidote? Si Yihan asked after a brief pause. Why do I need an antidote? Don't I have it here? Yi Wanwan grabbed Si Yihan's hand, bringing it to her mouth and sharply biting on it. The numbness from his hand seemed to spread all the way to his heart. The effects of that line weren't inferior to an undying oath. We'll be each other's sunshine. I like only you. I love you. Yi Wanwan was cheerily flirting with Si Yihan when she acutely caught sight of a familiar person entering the restaurant from the corner of her eyes. Damn. Autumn Water. Yi Wanwan didn't expect to run into Autumn Water, whom she hadn't seen for a long time. For some reason, an ill omen arose inside her at the sight of Autumn Water. Chapter 1965. Who you are fancying this time? Si Yihan sensed something amiss with Yi Wanwan's expression and asked, "What is it?" Yi Wanwan covered her face with one hand as she quietly murmured, "That girl is a hall master from our fearless alliance." Si Yihan followed her line of sight and saw a tall girl in a purple outfit walking toward them. Autumn Water seemed to have discovered her, and her eyes were shining as she stared at Yi Wanwan and darted toward her like an arrow. Shit! Why is she coming over here? Did I get recognized? That's illogical, right? Xiao Feng. Before Yi Wanwan could react, Autumn Water had already stopped in front of her and exclaimed in joyful surprise, "Xiao Feng. It really is you." Yi Wanwan's expression was incredulous as she dazedly pointed at her outfit. "You managed to recognize me even when I'm freaking dressed like this?" Autumn Water replied with a smile, "What appearance of yours haven't I seen? It'd be fine if you were trying to trick someone else, but you want to deceive me?" Yi Wanwan, she didn't expect her relationship with Autumn Water to be so good to the extent of being recognized even upon turning into ash. Back then, Big Dipper and Seven Star weren't able to confirm it despite taking turns to test her identity. In the end, it took Autumn Water getting involved to verify she was by phone. Later on, Autumn Water supposedly verified her to be by phone because of a certain birthmark. From this, her relationship with Autumn Water did appear to be very intimate. This knowledge intensified Yuanwan's sense of danger. Didn't Autumn Water go abroad to search for an antidote for the mutually in love Gu? Why did she come back now? Autumn Water. Didn't you go abroad? Yuanwan asked. Don't talk to me about that. The search for the antidote wasn't too successful, and I was worried about you, so I had to come back first. I didn't expect to see you in here when passing by this place, so I came inside. Yuanwan, what should I say? My luck is seriously something. I could run into someone even like this. Yuanwan was mulling over how to make Autumn Water leave when the other woman noticed the man sitting across from Yuanwan and directly sat down on the empty chair next to Yuanwan before inspecting Si Yihan up and down. He was wearing a face mask, so Autumn Water couldn't see his face and judge his looks. However, someone who could make Xiao Feng ask him out for a meal and specifically wore a mask had to have decent looks. His physique. Not bad. Alright, fine, it's outstanding. This is, Yuanwan was wondering how she should pull the wool over this situation. However, before Yuanwan could finish speaking, Autumn Water waved her hand with an uncaring expression like she was used to this. Alright, no need for an introduction. I don't care who you fancy this time. I've attempted to convince you many times, but it's been useless, so I'm too lazy to waste the effort to care. Across from them, Si Yihan's hand paused briefly as he brought the teacup to his mouth, but he remained composed otherwise. As for Yuanwan, sweat drenched her body. What did Autumn Water mean by, who you fancy this time? Did I take a fancy to that many people? Yuanwan cautiously glanced at Si Yihan before coughed softly and protesting, what do you mean who I fancy this time? Don't slander me. I'm very monogamous, alright? Autumn Water mockingly teased, yes, I'm slandering you. You've pursued Ji Shuran for at least a dozen years and went to hell and back for him. You're right, that's very monogamous. PFFF, cough. What are you saying? Yuanwan spat out the sip of tea she just drank, seized by a mad coughing fit. Chapter 1966 U.V. waited for Ji Shuran for so many years. Si Yihan's fingers around his teacup clearly clenched fiercely, and the veins on the back of his hand popped out. Yuanwan gulped and distinctly saw the cracks added to the teacup. Was she about to go 12 feet under? Autumn Water, that's a bunch of nonsense. Yuanwan kept sending looks at Autumn Water. What did Autumn Water say? I actually pursued Ji Shuran. I'm spouting nonsense. Tell me something I don't know about you. You liked Ji Shuran so much back then and didn't want anyone but him. You chased after him for so many years and were depressed for a while because he rejected you and did a lot of outrageous things because of that, Autumn Water continued, ignorant about the giant pit she was digging for her president. This information dump was too immense. Yuanwan was stupefied. Autumn Water seriously turned to Yuanwan and said, however, Xiao Feng, tell me, just what in the world are you thinking? You've waited for Ji Shuran for so many years and your efforts are finally paying off, so why are you messing around outside still? As Autumn Water said that, she sent Si Yihan a displeased look as though he was some random paramour. Kachak. The second Autumn Water finished speaking, Yuanwan watched the man's teacup shatter. Yuanwan's brain had gone completely offline. She was utterly astounded. Autumn Water had run her mouth off upon her immediate arrival and didn't give her any room to react. The information load from Autumn Water was too freaking gigantic, right? I don't care who you fancy this time. You've waited for Ji Shuran for so many years. These two lines alone were enough to make her die without a burial place. I'm not. I didn't. Honey, listen to me, Yuanwan was about to spit blood. She never expected disaster to fall on her so unannounced. Yuanwan couldn't see the man's expression since it was hidden behind his face mask, but that terrified her more. Autumn Water was exasperated upon seeing Yi Wanwan so nervous. Look at how cowardly you are. Is that necessary? Yi Wanwan, necessary. Way too necessary, alright. Really? Honey. All of this must be hearsay. It's just a rumor mill. All of that absolutely isn't true. Yi Wanwan hastily explained. Autumn Water glared at her and retorted, rumor? As soon as I came back, I heard you went to an auction to bid for Emperor Ji's ring and started arguing with Lord Azura. Is that also a rumor? Seriously, a mere lousy ring from Emperor Ji, and you've coveted it for so many years. Wasn't it you who made me issue a mission at the mercenary academies to get your hands on this ring back then? Autumn Water dropped another big bomb, stupefying Yi Wanwan with its explosion. Yi Wanwan dazedly pointed at her nose and asked, that mission was issued by me. Who else? Autumn Water rolled her eyes. Yi Wanwan turned to a certain man sitting across from her, her expression ashen. Excuse me, but can I still be saved? After a crisp sound, the teacup in the man's hand finally shattered from too much pressure. The pale green tea mixed with blood from the cut on his hand splattered onto the table. Ajio, Yi Wanwan shot up from her seat. Si Yihan slowly stood up, his spine rigid, and he reached up to pull off the mask from his face. Then he dodged Yi Wanwan's outstretched hand and casually used the mask to wipe the blood from his hand before tossing it to the side. Autumn Water, who was scolding Yi Wanwan for being cowardly moments ago, felt spooked out of her mind when the man's face was revealed. Chapter 1967. This is playing with fire. Color drained from Autumn Water's face like she'd seen something extremely frightening. You. Why you? Lord Azura, why is Xiao Feng dining with Lord Azura? This is too horrifying. Si Yihan acted like he didn't see Autumn Water and silently watched Yi Wanwan across from him. This gaze made Yi Wanwan's heart feel uneasy, as though she had fallen into a deep icy lake. She really didn't want to live anymore. Xiao Feng, what the heck are you doing? Why are you with? Autumn Water was about to pee her pants. Why are you with Lord Azura? Are you trying to cure your goo? Autumn Water lowered her voice. This isn't curing your goo, this is playing with fire. Are you suicidal, huh? Ajio, let me explain. Yi Wanwan had no presence of mind to pay attention to Autumn Water at this point. She could feel her head pounding. Alright, fine, I have no idea how to explain actually. What Autumn Water said might very well be the truth. A blazing flame churned in Si Yihan's eyes, but the bottomless abyss in the depths of his eyes gradually swallowed the flames. Si Yihan finally spoke. President Bai. Yi Wanwan's expression froze. Shit. It's over. He rebounded back to President Bai. Desolation blanketed Si Yihan's face as he used a terrifyingly calm and placid tone to say, the effects of the love goo is complicated and shouldn't be regarded as child's play. It would be safer for you to consume the antidote, President Bai. After saying that, Si Yihan didn't utter another word and merely gave a nod as a farewell before turning and leaving. Yi Wanwan rubbed her face. I'm dead meat. He's genuinely angry this time. Yi Wanwan smacked her head onto the table. Autumn Water, you've seriously destroyed me this time. Your timing was too convenient, Autumn Water grumbled. Xiao Feng, I haven't asked you what was going on yet, so why are you complaining about me? Haven't I warned you many times to refrain from provoking Lord Azura? That man isn't someone you can trifle with. Yi Wanwan, I've not only trifled with him, but I've even successfully picked him up, alright? So infuriating. You better tell me everything. Who said I liked Ji Shuran? Yi Wanwan asked after taking a deep breath. You've always liked Ji Shuran. Doesn't everyone in the independent state know that worryless Nya likes Ji Shuran? Autumn Water was baffled. Yi Wanwan felt her heart turning into cinders. She never would have expected Autumn Water to actually know her true identity. No wonder Autumn Water knew she had an engagement with Ji Shuran. How wretched. She guarded herself against everything but forgot about Autumn Water. Even if I actually liked him before, with my personality, would I continue to harass him after chasing after him for so many years while still being rejected? Yi Wanwan retorted. Autumn Water looked a bit hesitant. You did tell me you'd given up after being rejected. You then proceeded to get drunk every day and wreaked havoc everywhere you went. However, you clearly weren't able to forget him. Couldn't I have fallen in love with someone else? Are you kidding me? Who else could you fall in love with? I was by your side that whole time. You might have looked like you were flirting with every pretty man you saw, but you were only doing it verbally. None of it was sincere. Autumn Water replied contemptuously. Yi Wanwan, can't I have fallen in love with Lord Azura instead? Although there were many things she forgot, she was still herself. She knew herself well. If Ji Shuran truly rejected her back then, she absolutely wouldn't continue pursuing that romance. Chapter 1968 proved my innocence. Moreover, when Yi Wanwan came back and saw Ji Shuran again, she felt very close and intimate toward him, but she didn't have that special feeling anymore. She felt like she must have become smitten with someone else, and something that Autumn Water was clueless about happened in between. Based on the current information Yi Wanwan had, she disappeared after the fight between the Martial Arts Union and prison ended. No one knew what happened during that period of time. Yi Wanwan narrowed her eyes. She hypothesized that she probably got to know Si Yihan during that time. However, Si Yihan was Lord Azura. As the boss of the Fearless Alliance, Bro Flat Top, how in the world did she mixed up with the boss of Azura? Wasn't that too illogical? She seriously couldn't figure it out. Freaking. It's so aggravating. That bastard actually told me to take the antidote. He's blatantly slandering me. I have to recover my own memory and prove my innocence. Anyhow, I don't like Ji Shuran anymore. It was just a fling with him, so you mustn't run your mouth off in public. Also, my true identity must be kept a secret, especially. Of course I know that. Don't worry. Autumn Water glanced at Yi Wanwan inquisitively. Why does something feel off about your attitude just now? Why were you so nervous about Lord Azura? And you called him honey? Why wouldn't I be nervous? I finally got him after so much effort, and as soon as I pacified him, you angered him away. Yi Wanwan snapped grumpily. Autumn Water was dumbstruck. No way, right? You really got him? She immediately regained her senses and found it impossible, so she disdainfully said, stop bragging. He just rejected curing the love goo with you and told you to take the antidote. Shit. Yi Wanwan felt another knife stab into her heart. That's because you enraged him. By now, the sky had completely darkened. When Lin Kei, who was waiting on the street, spotted Si Yihan from afar, he exclaimed with surprise, ninth brother. Why are you back so fast? I thought you two would stay the night outside. As Lin Kei spoke, he discovered something off about Si Yihan's expression. Ninth brother, did something happen? Si Yihan didn't look at him as he opened the door and sat in the back before closing his eyes, as though all his energy had been sucked dry. Drive. Ninth brother, although Lin Kei had a stomach full of questions, he could tell Si Yihan's current condition was extremely perilous, so he didn't dare to inquire further and repressed all his inquiries. In the back seat, the man's cold lips turned into a bitter smile. If this was before, he could still be glad that she lost all of her memories and wouldn't remember the past, and he could continue to believe in the delusion that they were mutually in love with each other. Now though, she had returned. She came back to this place. He previously speculated that someone was Ji Shuran, and she'd already seen that person. Today, he finally ascertained that the person in her heart back then was Ji Shuran. He was keenly aware. Although they had a tacit mutual understanding and didn't bring it up voluntarily, he knew perfectly well that she was trying her best to regain her previous memories. It was even very possible she already recovered a portion of her memory. He didn't dare to think about what she already remembered and how much she remembered. And which day or which moment or which second she would suddenly remember everything. The turmoil in his heart during this period of time was indescribable. What was most painful wasn't losing something. It was gaining something then losing it. Even so, he was unwilling to abandon this bliss that could turn into suds at any moment. Until today. Until Autumn Water's words slammed him awake from his dream abruptly. It really was true. She really did have someone she loved deeply back then. And he really was nothing but a passerby. Chapter 1969 Giant Pig Trotter Yi Wanwan currently brimmed with nothing but grievance from suffering a great injustice. Since she hadn't regained her memories and didn't know what in the world happened back then, she couldn't defend herself even if she wanted to. Being unable to speak in her own self-defense couldn't be any more suffocating. However, at least she was 1000% certain of her current feelings. What was tragic was that this circumvented back to the beginning. Since she hadn't regained her memory, everything she said right now probably wouldn't have any effect on Si Yihan. Xiaofeng, are you okay? Autumn Water clapped Yi Wanwan on the shoulder with an unsurprised expression. Anyone with a brain would know Lord Azura wouldn't cure the goo with you, so don't do anything this dangerous again. You should wait for news from Emperor Ji. Yi Wanwan grimly muttered, Autumn Water, I have a question for you. Back then, did I, what? Yi Wanwan deliberated her words before asking, did I particularly like anyone? Aside from Ji Xiuran. Autumn Water exasperatedly looked at her. Has your memory gotten muddled from the sheer number of people you flirted with? Truthfully speaking, I really didn't see you acting earnestly toward anyone, are you sure? Carefully think about it some more. Autumn Water shook his head. There really isn't, Yi Wanwan sighed and had no choice but to give up. It appears I can only rely on myself to remember everything. Damn it. Does that guy really have so little trust in me? If the past memory was her memory, weren't these years she spent with him also part of her memory? If the past her was her, wasn't the current her also her? Yi Wanwan was fuming, but as soon as she recalled the man's calmly leaving silhouette, her heart grappled with pain, and she didn't dare to say a single harsh word. Even Yi Wanwan herself found it funny. He truly deserved the title, Vinegar King of Asia. He probably produced vinegar by the ton. He kept mentioning the past, but what was there to mention about the past? Since he knew it was the past, hadn't he ever heard of the saying, a real man doesn't boast about his past achievements? Even if she really did like Ji Xiuran back then and was madly in love with Ji Xiuran, wanting no other man than him, so what? That was worryless Nye who liked him, not her. Although Yi Wanwan didn't possess all of worryless Nye's memories nor had she experienced them herself, at least she had a general understanding of worryless Nye's personality. To put it plainly, worryless Nye and the current her were two completely different people, alright? When Yi Wanwan returned to the Fearless Alliance's headquarters, she listlessly sat behind her desk and kept deleting and retyping what she wanted to say for half a day before finally sending a text message to Si Yihan. Ajio, what Autumn Water said might be a portion of the memory I lost, but it definitely isn't everything. Her text sank into the ocean like a rock and didn't receive any response. You giant pig trotter. So what if I liked Ji Xiuran in the past? I don't feel anything toward Ji Xiuran now. Fine, keep producing vinegar. Sour yourself until you die. Yi Wanwan tried her hardest to calm herself down, but it was futile. Agitated, Yi Wanwan's gaze landed on a bottle of red wine sitting on the bar. Didn't some hall master give that to me yesterday? Having a bottle of wine in front of her at a moment like this was an inexplicable attraction. A round of disarrayed footsteps could be heard from outside. It was Big Dipper, 7-star, Autumn Water, First Elder, Second Elder, and Third Elder coming to make reports. The second the group pushed the door open, they simultaneously detected an extremely dangerous scent. It's the smell of alcohol. Chapter 1970 Drink until we're drunk tonight. When the door fully opened, Big Dipper shockingly discovered their president was actually drinking. As Big Dipper watched Yi Wanwan madly chugging from the wine bottle, his face contorted into the famous painting, The Scream, as he shouted, Sis Fong. My God. What are you doing? Everyone subconsciously took a step back. What are you yelling about? Come here and drink with me. We'll drink until we're drunk, tonight. Faced with this suicidal request, Big Dipper turned ghastly pale. Sis Fong, I'm really sorry. My mom's sick at the hospital, so I have to go to the hospital to take care of my mom. First Elder decisively took a step forward and said, President, our northern branch has an emergency and is urgently calling me over. I'll take care of that for you right now, President. Third Elder glared at First Elder. President, First Elder already took care of his business. Me though, I still have tasks to finish. Xiao Feng, I'm meeting someone, so I also have to go. Yi Wanwan pressed a little black remote in her hand and a loud bang resounded a second later. The door was tightly shut. No one is allowed to leave until they are drunk tonight. Sit down. Sis Feng, drink a little, less. Before Big Dipper could finish talking, Yi Wanwan already threw her head back and chugged more than half the bottle down. Big Dipper rubbed his face. Shit. I'm probably gonna die here tonight. Damn it, when I was installing the door, why didn't I skimp on the job and install a cheaper quality door? Now, they were trapped inside and couldn't escape. The group watched as Yi Wanwan inhaled bottle after bottle and helplessly looked at each other with overwhelming trepidation. Big Dipper kept scooting farther and farther away until he curled into a ball and hid in the corner under the stairs. After Yi Wanwan downed a third bottle, 3 additional cocoons appeared next to Big Dipper. First Elder and Second Elder subconsciously hid in the corner too. Big Dipper asked, What? What should we do? What else? Quickly stopped the president, of course. This was First Elder. Who should go? Third Elder questioned. The air turned silent. First Elder put forth a recommendation. Third Elder is full of strategies, so he can handle this great responsibility. Third Elder retorted, Why don't you go? You have extraordinary martial art talent. So you're more appropriate. First Elder and Third Elder glared at each other before First Elder finally turned to Big Dipper. Big Dipper, I think you're the most suitable actually. Doesn't the president favor you the most? That's true. Third Elder agreed. You damn old codgers. You want me to die? Big Dipper cried. First Elder countered, Doesn't the president trust and indulge you the most? First Elder seems to be, right. Shit, wait. You're tricking me. In the corner, they kept pushing each other and tossing the hot potato around, a battle royale on its own. However, after Yi Wanwan downed 3 bottles of wine, her mind became dazed already. Her first reaction was to pull out her phone and start sending text messages. Several messages later, they all sank into the ocean like rocks. And so, Yi Wanwan directly called him, but endless ringing came from the other end without any response until the call automatically hung up. Yi Wanwan was unwilling to give up and harshly slammed the keys, persistently calling, but no one answered. The people curled into balls in the corner were confused. Autumn Water was rather curious as she watched Yi Wanwan madly calling someone. Who's Xiao Feng calling? First Elder and Third Elder met each other's eyes and expressed they had no idea. 7 Star also didn't know. Chapter 1971. Could it be they broke up? Big Dipper gritted his teeth and said, I'll go and take a look. Putting his life on the line, Big Dipper secretively snuck over and got his hands on a mirror from who knew where. Standing at an extremely peculiar angle, he managed to see the name of the person Yi Wanwan was calling on her phone screen. Damn! It's actually him again. Who? Who? The other people urgently asked with lowered voices. Big Dipper returned to the corner and answered emotionally, the owner of the Independent States Vinegar Factory. 7 Star frowned deeply. Him again. Huh? The owner of the Independent States Vinegar Factory? Who's that? First Elder and Third Elder were dumbfounded and Autumn Water was also clueless. Big Dipper secretively explained, it's the new man Sis Feng took a fancy to. They were so lovey-dovey before, and she called him and sent him text messages every day, calling him baby and honey and every other word. What's going on today? Could it be, they broke up? 7-star, who is he? How dare he reject our president? First elder exclaimed. Who is this person? We can just abduct him here for the president. Third elder suggested. Autumn Water felt it was a little improbable. Xiao Feng was with Emperor Ji already, so how could she feel anything else toward another man? In the midst of their chaos, Yi Wanwan slumped over her chair with a plop and started snoring lightly, sound asleep. Big Dipper carefully examined Yi Wanwan for a moment before breaking into a grin. Damn, that scared the shit out of me. Nothing happened. Sis Feng fell asleep. 7-star, the other people looked at each other. Did she really fall asleep? She better not sleepwalk later on. I'm telling you. My friend's college dorm mate who slept on the bunk above him sleepwalked. In the middle of the night, he would grab a watermelon knife from who knew where, jump off his bed and pull up their shirts before slapping each of them on the belly with the knife while shaking his head. That friend of mine was scared to death. Big Dipper hastily said. What are you saying? Autumn Water was baffled. The second day, my friend asked his dorm mate about it and his dorm mate said he dreamed he was about to eat watermelons last night and was about to cut them, but unfortunately, none of them were ripe. Big Dipper finished with a laugh. Autumn Water rolled her eyes at Big Dipper. That was a freaking scary story, alright? Before Big Dipper could say anything else, the phone next to Yi Wanwan lit up. Out of curiosity, Autumn Water leaned closer to look at Yi Wanwan's phone. Is it that vinegar seller? Big Dipper quickly asked. Autumn Water shook her head. It was a video call, not a phone call. Big Dipper quickly snatched the phone and accepted the call. This chapter is scrapped from Read Light Novel. In the video, a man was dressed in a formal outfit, and a perpetually frozen mountain seemed to inhabit his eyes. When the man saw Big Dipper appearing on his screen, his brows furrowed slightly. Damn! Lord Azura. Everyone was stupefied at the sight of the man in the video. Why would Lord Azura video call their president? Could it be Lord Azura was the vinegar seller? Lord Azura. Has your Azura switched fields and started selling vinegar? Big Dipper was staring at the screen, bewildered. Don't you know how to talk? Autumn Water shoved Big Dipper to the side as she stole the phone and put a smile on her face. Lord Azura, it's so late. What are you? The video call was hung up before Autumn Water could finish speaking. Autumn Water felt like her pride took 1,000 damage. Lord Azura must need something important, calling the president so late at night. Hurry and call him back. Big Dipper urgently shouted. Chapter 1972 Fell asleep next to you. Autumn Water threw Yi Wanwan's phone at Big Dipper. Call him yourself. You'll take the blame for anything that goes wrong. Damn, fine. I'll take the blame if anything goes wrong, but if there's any merit, it will also only belongs to me. Big Dipper grumbled as he caught the phone before calling back without any hesitation. A moment later, the video call surprisingly connected. When Si Yihan saw Big Dipper's face, his brows furrowed again. Lord Azura, why were you looking for our president? Our president fell asleep next to me, Big Dipper said. Fell asleep next to you? Si Yihan's eyes glinted coldly. That's right. Fell asleep next to me. Big Dipper nodded. Take a look for yourself. Why would I lie to you? No need. The man's frighteningly chilly voice rang out. However, Big Dipper aimed the camera toward Yi Wanwan anyway as though he didn't hear the other man. When Si Yihan saw the room full of people and Yi Wanwan lying on the sofa, his expression eased up a little. What happened to President Bai? Si Yihan asked a long while later. Nothing. Our president drank some wine and got wasted. Did you need something important, Lord Azura? Big Dipper replied. It's cold. Cover her up with a jacket. Si Yihan directly ignored Big Dipper's question. Big Dipper nodded matter-of-factly. That's right. The president will probably sleep all night, so she better stay warm. After saying that, Big Dipper handed the phone to Autumn Water and pulled out a blanket from a cabinet before walking toward the sofa. Sis Phone, you're awake. Big Dipper was startled when he saw Yi Wanwan abruptly opening her eyes. Yi Wanwan's right arm swung, and before anyone realized what happened, a loud bang was heard. Yi Wanwan had punched Big Dipper on the nose, causing Big Dipper and his blanket to fly back with the wail of a dying pig. Open the door. Someone, come and open this door. This scene shocked Second Elder and made him start shouting at whoever was outside the door. First Elder and Third Elder were also as far from the scene as possible, wishing nothing more than to be thousands of miles away from Yi Wanwan. However, the door was locked, and the group couldn't leave even if they wanted to unless they broke the door. 7 Star, quick, go and grab the remote. Third Elder hastily instructed 7 Star. 7 Star glanced at the remote sitting next to Yi Wanwan and instantly shook his head without thinking. He aloofly answered, no. Third Elder, come. Drink. Yi Wanwan casually sat up on the sofa, the scent of alcohol permeating the air around her. Big Dipper covered his nose as he scrambled up from the floor and looked at Yi Wanwan. Sis Phone, all the alcohol is gone. Open the door and let me out first so I can go back to the hospital and take care of my mom. I'll definitely drink with you tomorrow. Yi Wanwan turned to the liquor cabinet nearby with a confused expression. There was quite a hefty amount of alcohol inside the cabinet still. A smirk turned up on Yi Wanwan's face as she hooked her pointer finger at Big Dipper. At Big Dipper's immobility, Second Elder urged, Big Dipper, hurry and go. The president is calling you over. I won't. Whoever wants to go can go. Big Dipper frantically shook his head. Do they think I'm dumb? I just sustained a punch, alright? Come here, Yi Wanwan ordered, drunk as a fiddler. Chapter 1973. He felt like he was going to be beaten to death tonight. Third Elder, come with me, Big Dipper turned to Third Elder. Scram! Third Elder yelled. Big Dipper's gaze landed on 7 Star. 7, no, 7 Star promptly replied. Big Dipper, didn't people say times of disaster showed who true friends were and that friends stayed with you through the good and bad? Men were all freaking pig trotters. And so, Big Dipper had no choice but to slowly trudge toward Yi Wanwan with an ingratiating smile on his face. Sis Phone, Big Dipper called. Before Big Dipper could finish speaking, Yi Wanwan swung her right arm and Big Dipper's nose was punched again quicker than anyone could react. Big Dipper clutched his nose and looked at Yi Wanwan, aggrieved. Sis Phone, can't you hit a different spot? Yi Wanwan pointed at the nearby liquor cabinet. Isn't that alcohol? Big Dipper, didn't they say a drunk person's intelligence went to 0? She didn't act dumb. She still knew there was alcohol inside the liquor cabinet. Big Dipper felt like he was going to be beaten to death tonight. Oh right, Sis Phone, Lord Azura. Lord Azura needs you for something super urgent. Big Dipper hastily shouted. Lord Azura had become his last salvation. Lord Azura, confusion surfaced in Yi Wanwan's eyes. Where? Yi Wanwan examined her surroundings. Here. He's here. Big Dipper quickly stood up and sprinted toward Autumn Water, making her lift up the phone to face Yi Wanwan. Downer. Yi Wanwan frowned deeply. Drinking is drinking. Why would you display a funeral portrait? Big Dipper, First Elder, Second Elder, Third Elder, no one expected their president to call the video version of Lord Azura a funeral portrait. Even Si Yihan couldn't help but furrow his brows. Sis Phone, that isn't a funeral portrait. It's Lord Azura, First Elder corrected Yi Wanwan. Lord Azura. Yi Wanwan frowned and squinted her eyes, carefully inspecting the man on the phone screen. Si Yihan also silently stared back at Yi Wanwan. Why did Lord Azura die? Yi Wanwan asked a moment later. Everyone was dumbfounded again. Wow, Drinking alcohol seriously evoked a major disaster. President Bai, I'm still alive, Si Yihan quickly refuted. It's not a funeral portrait. Curiosity filled Yi Wanwan's face when she heard the man speaking. Yi Wanwan carefully examined Si Yihan for a long time before pointing at him and suddenly asking, "You're Lord Azura?" "That can't be. Aren't you that lackey Lord Azura imprisoned in the little black house?" The man in the video unwaveringly met Yi Wanwan's eyes, as though he wanted to search for something in her eyes. Did she finally remember something? First Elder and the others all looked at Yi Wanwan, baffled. What in the world was their president saying? This man was clearly the big boss of Azura, so why did the president call him a lackey? Sis Feng really drunk too much, she can't even recognize Lord Azura. It's not like she drank that much. Big Dipper muttered. Sis Feng has low tolerance, 7-star cut in. Chapter 1974. It's over. This time Big Dipper knew Yi Wanwan's alcohol tolerance was low and she got drunk with a single drop of alcohol. So why the heck did she have to drink so much alcohol despite knowing she had a low tolerance? We'll talk after President Bai is sober. After saying that, the man hung up the video call. Shit. Sis Feng must have offended Lord Azura. Not only did she say Lord Azura was dead and called him a funeral portrait, but she also ridiculed Lord Azura by saying he's nothing and calling him a lackey. It's over, it's over. It's over this time. Big Dipper looked anguished. Drinking really causes trouble. Perhaps Lord Azura started a video call so late at night because he wanted to discuss some major collaboration with their fearless alliance, but now, it was definitely ruined. Yi Wanwan drunkenly swept her eyes over the group before lying down on the sofa, her thoughts unknowable. Soon, Yi Wanwan fell into a deep sleep. After Yi Wanwan fell asleep, First Elder and his gang wanted to leave. However, the key to opening the door was in Yi Wanwan's death grip, and Autumn Water couldn't extract it after trying for half a day. The group helplessly stared at each other and a string of sighs left their mouths. They had no choice but to sit down on the floor and wait for Yi Wanwan to sleep off the alcohol. The next day at noon, the second Yi Wanwan opened her eyes, several enormous heads burst into Yi Wanwan's sight. Yi Wanwan's torso leaped up from the sofa from shock in a flash. When she realized it was Big Dipper and the others, she relaxed. What are you doing? Yi Wanwan stared at the group, bewildered. Heavens, you're finally awake, Sis Feng. Big Dipper was bursting with excitement as he looked at Big Dipper. Yi Wanwan frowned slightly and finally remembered. Last night, she seemed to have dragged Big Dipper and the others to drink with her and also locked the door, preventing them from leaving. I got drunk? Yi Wanwan asked them. Sis Feng, is there anything to be confused about? Of course you got drunk. Big Dipper hastily replied. Not only did she get drunk, but she also locked them up and prevented them from leaving. Embarrassment appeared on Yi Wanwan's face immediately. Judging from the appearance of Big Dipper and the others, it appeared they didn't sleep at all last night. Did anything happen after I got drunk? Yi Wanwan inquired curiously. Everyone met each other's eyes. As expected, she forgot everything that happened in her inebriated state. Big Dipper, why is your nose swollen? Yi Wanwan reflexively asked when she saw Big Dipper's swollen nose. Big Dipper shuddered. Sis Feng, after you got drunk, Lord Azura told me to cover you with a blanket, but you punched me twice as soon as I approached you. Yi Wanwan, this tragic child. Wait, Lord Azura told you to cover me with a blanket? Yi Wanwan became spirited at once. You're saying Lord Azura came here last night? No. Lord Azura gave you a video call, Autumn Water elaborated from the side. A video call? Did he say anything? Yi Wanwan urgently pressed. Sis Feng, Lord Azura video called you even though it was so late at night, so I'm sure he wants to make some giant deal with our fearless alliance. But you drank too much last night and offended Lord Azura, Sis Feng. Big Dipper said. Huh? Yi Wanwan's expression shifted. I offended Si Yihan. Just what happened? Yi Wanwan asked with a frown. When you saw Lord Azura on the phone screen, you called him a funeral portrait and said Lord Azura was just a lackey or something, Big Dipper explained. Yi Wanwan, that's fine. Thank goodness I didn't mention Ji Xiuran or else Si Yihan would have definitely exploded. Chapter 1975. The eve before the storm. Her drinking this time was slightly different from the past. Before, her memory blacked out directly after she got drunk, but her memory wasn't exactly blacked out this time. If she thought about it carefully, she could faintly recall some scenes, they were just very unclear. She wondered whether it was related to how a portion of her memories was recovered. Did anything else happen? Did Lord Azura say something? Yi Wanwan asked as she turned to the group. Big Dipper shook his head. I don't think so. Lord Azura mainly told me to cover you with a blanket because it's chilly so you might get cold or something. Wait, Sis Feng, why would Lord Azura tell me to cover you with a blanket for no reason? He must have had some nefarious motive for acting so nice. Yi Wanwan glanced at Big Dipper, unwilling to waste her words with him. She quickly opened the office door and told them to leave and rest. After all, they stayed up the whole night because of her and hadn't slept yet. After everyone left, Yi Wanwan picked up her cell phone and stared at the phone contact named, owner of the Independent States Vinegar Factory, for a brief moment before dialing. The call connected, but no one picked up the phone. Yi Wanwan refused to give up and persistently kept calling, but during the third attempt, the other end directly rejected the call. A fury instantly ignited inside Yi Wanwan. He's become fully fledged, huh? I can forgive him for not picking up my call, but now he's intentionally rejecting my call, huh? Si Yihan, you're too terrible. Yi Wanwan humphed. Fine, reject my call. It's not like I want to call you. If you're so capable, ignore my calls for the rest of your life. Although Yi Wanwan couldn't continue calling him, the messages didn't stop. She started bombing him with messages, starting from, what are you doing, and, have you eaten yet, and ending with straight-up harassment. However, Si Yihan didn't answer a single message. It wasn't until 7 Star and Big Dipper's arrival in the afternoon that Yi Wanwan decided to show mercy on Si Yihan for a moment and stopped her mad assault. Sis Feng, something bad happened. 7 Star was the first to talk after entering her office. Yi Wanwan was startled. Why did something bad happen every day? What now? Yi Wanwan asked nonchalantly. One of our partner factions stopped all partnership with the Fearless Alliance today, 7 Star elaborated. Stopped all partnership? Yi Wanwan was astonished. That didn't sound right. The Fearless Alliance had always had decent relationships with its collaborative partners, so why would a faction abruptly halt all collaborations? Which faction? Yi Wanwan asked with a frown. This was a stomp on the Fearless Alliance's pride. Sis Feng, it's Heavenly Owl. Heavenly Owl? Yi Wanwan was surprised. Heavenly Owl was an extremely long-established faction in the independent state, and its power wasn't inferior to that of the 4 great clans. Actually, Heavenly Owl could be considered the Fearless Alliance's big brother. When the Fearless Alliance was initially founded, Heavenly Owl provided a lot of assistance to the Fearless Alliance. Moreover, the Fearless Alliance had an exceptionally amicable relationship with Heavenly Owl. They had been business partners for many years without any problems, so why were they stopping all business dealings with them now? If it was some other faction, the Fearless Alliance could confront them directly, but Heavenly Owl was different. It was the Fearless Alliance's big brother. Let me make a call and ask, Yi Wanwan said. Although Yi Wanwan didn't have her old memories, she had shared a few meals with Heavenly Owl's leader, a female boss that Yi Wanwan admired immensely and respected, so it shouldn't be a big problem for her ask about the reason. Chapter 1976. Emperor Ji goes missing. Sis Feng, why are you calling? Heavenly Owl's boss went missing. Big Dipper hastily interjected. Huh? Went missing? Yi Wanwan was astonished and caught off guard. That's right, she went missing. It happened just in these past 2 days, and the people from Heavenly Owl thought it was the Fearless Alliance who did it since Heavenly Owl's boss only lowers her defenses against us, the Fearless Alliance. Aside from the Fearless Alliance, it's impossible for even a power like Azura to abduct Heavenly Owl's boss without any notice. Big Dipper said with a sigh. Yuan mused to herself. This is seriously a disaster falling from the sky unwarranted, even though all I was doing was sending messages in my office. Heavenly Owl's boss is incredibly friendly toward the Fearless Alliance, so why would the Fearless Alliance abduct their boss? Are the people from Heavenly Owl missing their brains? What does Heavenly Owl's missing boss have anything to do with us? Are those people stupid? Yuan was incensed. Although the Fearless Alliance often did this kind of thing, the target mattered, alright? Heavenly Owl's boss had such a good relationship with her back then and helped her so much when she founded the Fearless Alliance, so there was no way she would do such an utterly heartless thing regardless of how wretched she was. Soon, Yuan received news that several higher-ups from Heavenly Owl had come to the Fearless Alliance. Yuan didn't slack off and immediately greeted the higher-ups. When faced with their inquisition, Yuan swore that their Fearless Alliance absolutely wasn't the culprit. After getting rid of those higher-ups from Heavenly Owl, Yuan instantly ordered Second Elder to bring some people and investigate this matter. They better not discover someone was intentionally framing the Fearless Alliance for this. Moreover, the Fearless Alliance was indebted to Heavenly Owl's boss, so they had to find her. However, in the following 2 days, many famous and powerful figures in the independent state subsequently went missing one after another, as though they evaporated into thin air. All contact with them was cut, and there wasn't any news of them no matter how hard people searched. Until the 3rd day. Inside her office in the Fearless Alliance, Yuan stared at First Elder in shock. That's absolutely impossible. Yuan was incredulous. President, it's true. It's absolutely true. Emperor Ji went missing, last night, First Elder repeated with a frown. Yuan could understand it if the boss of Heavenly Owl and some veteran factions in the independent state went missing, but when it was Emperor Ji's turn. Who was Emperor Ji? Ji Xiuran was the heir to the Ji family, one of the independent state's 4 great clans, and the emperor of all of Europe's underground powers, a frightening figure who could nearly control all of the independent state with a crook of his finger. But he actually went missing. Emperor Ji really went missing? Yuan was still unwilling to accept this unbelievable truth. Yes, President, Emperor Ji did indeed go missing. Not only that, but there's news that he fought with someone intensely before going missing since there was a lot of fresh blood inside the room. It's also been verified that blood is Emperor Ji's. First Elder had a deep frown on his face. A person like Emperor Ji held immense power and lorded over the independent state, but he mysteriously disappeared in his own territory, even leaving behind a large amount of his own blood at the crime scene. That was enough to shock every faction in the independent state. After receiving news of Emperor Ji's disappearance, Yuan didn't hesitate and immediately ordered Big Dipper to drive her to Emperor Ji's headquarters and the Ji estate. Chapter 1977. There's big trouble, however, whether it was Emperor Ji's headquarters or the Ji estate, they were dizzy with work and were madly searching for Ji Xiuran's whereabouts. Combined with the fact that a tremendous number of factions also dropped by the area to obtain more information, no one had any time to receive Yuan or anyone for that matter. To avoid causing trouble for Emperor Ji's faction and the Ji family, Yuan had no choice but to leave and stop disturbing them. Although Yuan didn't feel any adoration for Emperor Ji anymore and had given her whole heart to see Yihan, Ji Xiuran was her benefactor. Without Ji Xiuran, where would she be today? Hence, Yuan was immensely worried about Ji Xiuran's disappearance. When she returned to the Fearless Alliance, she immediately dispatched a lot of members to help search for Ji Xiuran's whereabouts. She was aware that the impact would be minimal, but she and the Fearless Alliance had to do something at a time like this or else she wouldn't be able to rest easy. Ji Xiuran truly provided a lot of warmth to Yuan, especially when she just arrived in the independent state, a stranger in a strange place. When she was asking a tiger for its skin in the Fearless Alliance, it was Ji Xiuran who stayed by her side and helped her gain a better understanding of the independent state and the Fearless Alliance, allowing Yi Wanwan to develop a better chance of survival. This warmth was familial, and their feelings for each other were like that of an older brother and a younger sister. Normal people might not comprehend it, but Yi Wanwan understood it. Inside the office, Yi Wanwan's face was so dark that ink could drip from it. Her chilly and sinister eyes stared outside the window. She swore that if someone dared to harm Ji Xiuran, she would rip them into shreds. Actually, Sis Feng, there's one more matter. The quiet 7-star spoke up after a lengthy silence. What is it? Yi Wanwan asked with a frown. Sis Feng, Big Brother Wen Xiren left for a long time, and logically speaking, he should have returned long ago. However, there hasn't been any news from him recently, and when the Fearless Alliance attempted to contact Big Brother Wen Xiren these last few days, they couldn't reach him at all, 7-star replied. Sis Feng, Brother Xiren isn't dead, right? Big Dipper was brimming with worry. Big Dipper and 7-star were led by Wen Xiren after Yi Wanwan left the independent state, so they had a superb relationship. 7-star turned to Big Dipper. His lips drew open as though he wanted to say something but couldn't utter a word. It was hard to accept this kind of result, but it wasn't improbable. Yi Wanwan couldn't remember Wen Xiren at all, but she knew Wen Xiren was her sworn elder brother. Wen Xiren was also known as the #1 fighter in the Fearless Alliance, so she wagered that she couldn't defeat him back then. How could a fighter like that disappear and die? Many strange things have indeed happened in the independent state lately, Sis Feng. Heavenly Owl's boss, the leaders of some top-notch, long-established factions, and even Emperor Ji and Big Brother Wen Xiren all disappeared peculiarly. Is there a connection here? 7-star started analyzing the recent situation in an attempt to calm himself down. Old 7, are you saying it's the same group of people behind the disappearances of all these bosses and big shots? Big Dipper stared at 7-star incredulously. What kind of cosmic joke was that? I also think it's inconceivable, but it isn't improbable. If this is true, are Emperor Ji and the others currently still alive, or gone from this world? 7-star asked. Chapter 1978. Only one person, bullshit. Big Dipper glanced at 7-star. What the hell are you thinking? Which power in the independent state could make these bosses disappear silently like this overnight? Even the freaking martial arts union couldn't do that, right? Big Dipper interjected. He continued, forget about others, but even if we ignored the power backing up people like Emperor Ji and my brother Xiren, who could forcefully take them if they wanted to escape, considering their martial strength? So many top-notch big shots were affected too. Big Dipper wasn't the only one. Yi Wanwan herself didn't believe it. There really didn't seem to be any faction in the independent state who could accomplish what happened. One or two leaders were probable, but even Emperor Ji mysteriously disappeared and left behind a puddle of blood in his room. How earth-shattering was that? So you really think no one could have pulled it off? 7-star looked at Big Dipper meaningfully. Who? Since you're so awesome, name me someone who could have done it. Big Dipper was indignant. Piece of shit. 7-star was silent for a long while before uttering that name. Big Dipper's expression drastically changed. If there really was someone who could do this. Piece of shit was probably the only likely person in the entire independent state, right? Piece of shit. Yi Wanwan got a cold sweat when she heard that. Although she knew Piece of Shit had formidable martial arts skills, she never expected him to be this powerful. Could Piece of Shit really make all the top-notch bosses, including Ji Xiuran, disappear without a trace in such a short amount of time by himself? But, if it really was Piece of Shit, I'm afraid, the missing people have probably left this world, 7-star said. This time, Big Dipper oddly didn't refute him. Indeed, judging from his past behavior, unless Piece of Shit didn't attack, he wouldn't have left any survivors behind. However, Yi Wanwan didn't wholly agree. Wasn't she also beaten mercilessly by Piece of Shit back then? Wasn't she still perfectly alive right now? Sis Feng, your situation was different. As though he sensed Yi Wanwan's thoughts, 7-star turned to her and shook his head. What I mean is that the target's piece of shit attacks of his volition are all his prey. To piece of shit, prey can only die and can't survive. However, Sis Feng, you were the one who provoked piece of shit, and piece of shit was merely forced to retaliate, so piece of shit never viewed you as prey. Yi Wanwan couldn't find any rebuttal. Was I that masochistic back then? Although piece of shit was incredibly suspicious, Yi Wanwan wasn't willing to believe it. She had a fair amount of interactions with piece of shit, and piece of shit acted strangely sometimes, but he was a very principled person. And this person's principles were terrifyingly rigid. Piece of shit once said he didn't target anyone but the ancient clans of the independent state, and Ji Xiuran and the others had nothing to do with the ancient clans. If it was Si Yihan who went missing, Yi Wanwan could understand it since Si Yihan was a member of the ancient Si clan. At the thought of Si Yihan, Yi Wanwan became slightly anxious. Did something similar also happen at Azura? But if Lord Azura also went missing, he would be in the same predicament as Emperor Ji. The news would have spread like wildfire in the shortest amount of time, so this lack of news meant nothing happened at Azura. Chapter 1979. We've slept together and we have a child. Although things on Azura's side were tranquil and there was no news, Yi Wanwan was still overcome with nervousness and unease. After all, the circumstances were unusual this time. All the missing people were powerful figures and Si Yihan was a member of the ancient clan's collateral branch, so she truly couldn't help but worry. Hence, after some deliberation, she decided to directly call Si Yihan. When no one picked up her call after calling twice, Yi Wanwan started sending messages. Where are you right now? Return my call. Quick. Yi Wanwan catapulted 3 messages in a row, but the recipient still didn't respond. She knew she was just scaring herself, but she still became anxious. In her anxiousness, she started bombarding him with messages continuously. Quickly return my message. Return my message already. Answer me. Big Dipper and 7-star turned to each other as they caught Yi Wanwan swiftly tapping her phone and sending messages. Sis Feng is sending messages to that vinegar owner again. Damn, is she crazy? This mindless message bombing doesn't resemble our Sis Feng's flirting techniques. It's more like she's an idiotic teenage girl whose intelligence went into the negative after falling passionately in love. 7-star ignored Big Dipper's ridicule, but his expression was rather worried. Sis Feng's attitude toward this owner of the Independent States vinegar factory was rather unusual. Simultaneously at Azura's headquarters, in the enormous conference room, the atmosphere was oddly grim as many Azura higher-ups were gathered and discussing how the leaders of some major factions in the independent state went missing for no reason recently. At that moment, a string of ringtones was abruptly heard inside the deadly silent and stifling conference room. And the source of the ringtone actually originated from their boss. Everyone reflexively looked up and promptly saw their lord dazedly staring at his phone, which was sitting on the table. He didn't say anything nor did he make any move to accept the call until the call broke off on its own. Soon, the phone started ringing again, and this time, their lord still didn't accept it. Whose call caused their lord to be so conflicted and absent-minded? As the higher-ups looked at each other in confusion and allowed their imagination to run wild with speculations, their lord's phone started ringing with message tones like a series of cannonballs, one after the other, and they increased in speed. The only sound in the conference room was the swift ringing of ding, ding, ding. Jiang Yan's brows furrowed as he glanced at his lord. His lord rarely used a cell phone, and that phone was his private cell phone which went off even more rarely, so what was going on today? Lin Ke was sitting to the right of Si Yihan and peeked at his 9th brother's phone from the corner of his eyes. The scene greeting him was hair-raising. Message notifications wildly danced across the screen like there was a glitch. Ahem, 9th brother, what's happening with your phone? Did it get a virus? Lin Ke whispered after leaning closer. Si Yihan imperceptibly sighed as he stared at his cheerfully ringing phone. Finally, he picked up the phone like he was relenting and he unlocked the screen. Lin K finally saw the sender of those messages, MW. MW? Whose alias is this? Lin K was wondering as more messages continuously arrived in Si Yihan's phone. Since Si Yihan's phone was unlocked, Lin K managed to get a peek of the message's contents. MW, reply to me already. MW, reply to me. MW, you can reply with a punctuation mark too. MW, answer me with a period. Quick. MW, why haven't you replied yet? MW, I'll give you 10 seconds. If you still don't reply to me, I'll jump to the roof of the Martial Arts Union's headquarters and use a loudspeaker to announce to everyone that we've slept together and we have a 5-year-old child. Chapter 1980 planted headfirst into a sea of vinegar. Lin K, alright, he didn't need to guess anymore. Based on this audacious style, he could tell it was that idiot, Yi Wan. However, why the heck was her alias, MW? He couldn't figure out what acronym it was. Did it have some special meaning? MW, 10. MW, 9. MW, 8. While Yi Wan counting down, Lin K was trying to guess how long his 9th brother could hold on in the end. After Yi Wan sent 7, he saw his 9th brother clicking into the input field. Then the man waited until the final second before using his slender finger to reply with a period. Lin K sighed. He has a tight leash around him. Several days ago, when 9th brother returned in the middle of his date with Yi Wan, his expression was so frightening that Lin K didn't dare to stay within 10 steps of him for a few days. Lin K hypothesized that there had to be some enormous romantic trouble, and they might have even broken up, so he probably wouldn't be stuffed with dog food for a while. Who knew? He still underestimated Yi Wan's shamelessness. How could that woman act like this? Her beau was clearly ignoring her, so she should at least act more reserved and ignore him too. Why would you madly barrage him with messages? What astounded Lin K even more was his 9th brother's reaction. This period was sent too obediently, right? Currently, at the Fearless Alliance, her fingers were aching from her typing, her phone was heating up, and her keys were about to break from her typing, so Yi Wan finally stopped her bombardment. Yi Wan was incredibly satisfied as she stared at the little period sitting on her phone screen. Her darling was seriously adorable. Damn! How did he respond? Why is Sis Fong smiling like an idiot? Just what kind of sweet talk is it? Is this vinegar owner that slick? Big Dipper was over himself with curiosity and sneakily leaned closer to take a peek. Just what in the world did he send? 7 Star pretended to be uninterested on the surface, but his gaze subconsciously trailed Big Dipper. Big Dipper leaned closer with difficulty. A second later, his face froze. Detecting Big Dipper's peeping, Yi Wan shot him a glare and clutched her phone like it was a treasure. Do you want to die, huh? Big Dipper was incredulous. Sis Fong, did you take the wrong medicine? Or did this vinegar owner feed you some poisonous vinegar? Fuck. You sent so many messages to him, but he didn't respond with a single word. He responded with just a period, yet you're so happy. When 7 Star heard Big Dipper, his face was also indescribable. Just a period. Yi Wan continued to look at her phone in euphoria and uncaringly answered, what would a single loner like you know? Sis Fong, talking is fine, but how could you attack me so personally? Big Dipper protested. Yi Wan ignored him and kept sending messages as she casually asked, prison's conference is tomorrow, right? Big Dipper nodded. Yes, that's right. Alright, got it. Yi Wan waved her hand, signaling he could get lost. Big Dipper scratched his head and curiously mumbled to himself, just what kind of divine being is this vinegar owner? At Azura, when the higher-ups saw their lord's phone finally stopping its crazy ringing, they simultaneously relaxed. Utterly frightening. Was there some urgent news? Ding dong. Another ring was heard. Si Yihan read Yi Wan's reply. MW, I'm glad you're fine. I thought you also got kidnapped by goblins. Kidnapped by goblins? Si Yihan mulled it over as he stared at the message. She was probably referring to the fact that many leaders went missing recently. His current information told him that Ji Shuran also disappeared. Is she panicking? Yi Wanwan never would have imagined that a certain person who just got pacified a little bit planted headfirst into a sea of vinegar once again because of his own imagination filling in the blanks. Chapter 1981. Don't want to have children with him. Si Yihan silently stared at the screen full of messages from Yi Wanwan, especially at the "We've slept together and we have a 5-year-old child" part. We have a 5-year-old child. Ha, if that was the truth, it would probably be the most blessed thing that had ever happened to him. Back then, in the thick of their passion, he once casually said, "If we have a child in the future," but was interrupted by her before he could finish. He could clearly remember the panic and rejection in her expression as she said she didn't like children at all and definitely wouldn't have any. It wasn't that she didn't like children, she merely didn't want to have children with him, right? Ever since then, he had never brought up this topic again. Yi Wanwan had no idea that Si Yihan had sunken into a deeper and sourer sea of vinegar by this point. Instead, she was flipping through the missions she accepted last time to see which one she could finish in the shortest amount of time and obtain her honor points. Right now, she urgently wanted to recover her memories, especially the ones with Si Yihan. In her previous hypnosis sessions, she truly didn't recover many memories related to Si Yihan. Last time, she finished an S+ rank mission and an S rank mission and broke 2 records, earning 45,000 honor points. 5,000 more honor points and she could request a 3rd hypnosis session from the headmaster. However, what was tragic was that she still owed the headmaster 20,000 honor points, and that old fox probably wouldn't get tricked so easily this time and allow her to have an outstanding account again. So she probably needed to get her hands on more honor points first. In other words, combined with the 20,000 honor points she owed, she needed 25,000 honor points. Finishing 1 S+ or S rank missions would be enough, but that was easier said than done. She couldn't trick her way through all of the high-ranked missions. Which one should I do? These lousy missions are too difficult. Yi Wanwan was going to turn bald from her worry. What's this? Steal back Scarlet Flame's Academy's school monument. Huh? What does stealing back Scarlet Flame's Academy's school monument mean? A school monument can be stolen? That thing is such an old and big piece of rock. It wasn't worth anything, nor was it engraved with any secret martial techniques. It was only engraved with the words Scarlet Flame's Academy and the Academy's rules and motto, so who would be so bored as to steal such a thing? 7-Star replied, 7 years ago, the school monument at the entrance of Scarlet Flame's Academy vanished without a trace. The next day, someone discovered the culprit leaving behind the name of Heavenly Hatred's leader, Jiang Lihan. People say Jiang Lihan used to be a student at Scarlet Flame's Academy and was also an SSS rank mercenary. In the end, he was expelled from Scarlet Flame's Academy due to seriously violating the rules. Jiang Lihan nursed this grievance in his heart, so he stole Scarlet Flame's Academy's school monument. Yi Wanwan finished. Yes, 7-Star responded. This person's way of thinking is truly odd. This revenge was seriously revolting. I won't attack you or kill you, I'll just directly take your school monument with the school rules. This was an extraordinary source of shame and humiliation to such an ancient and well-known academy. 7-Star elaborated, because of this, the higher-ups at Scarlet Flame's Academy were furious and issued this S-rank mission to all the students. This mission is open to everyone in the independent state, not just members of the academy. As long as they can help retrieve the school monument, Scarlet Flames will give a generous reward. Unfortunately, it's been 7 years but not a single person was able to retrieve the school monument. Yi Wanwan rubbed her chin, realization dawning on her. Tut tut, no wonder it's worth so many honor points. Chapter 1982. It's a travesty you're dressed like this. Ah! How valuable! How valuable! There weren't many missions of S rank or higher, and missions that were S tier rank were even rarer, so obtaining so many honor points in such a short amount of time was truly too difficult. Big Dipper frightfully cried, Sis Feng, you aren't thinking about doing this mission, right? It's Heavenly Hatred. An entity scarier than Azura. Actually, both Heavenly Hatred and Azura had equal strength as part of Prison's 3 core factions. Azura might even be a tad superior, but Azura went into hiding for many years while Heavenly Hatred maintained its high-profile activity, so Heavenly Hatred was more infamous in the independent state. Yuan irritatedly retorted, "Am I mad? Why would I serve my head on a silver platter for no reason? That mission is a pass. There's no way I could do it." However, right now, she had trouble coming from within, so she urgently needed to recover her memories. Tomorrow's conference was such a good opportunity, and she'd be able to see the leader of Heavenly Hatred, so perhaps she could negotiate with him directly and see if she could obtain it somehow. The probability was low, but it was 15,000 honor points. Soon, the next day arrived. Yuan turned her wardrobe upside down and finally pulled out a princess dress. Big Dipper was utterly flabbergasted. "Sis Feng. You aren't planning to wear this dress, right? Calm down. I'm begging you. This is Prison's conference. If you wear this dress there, we'll be ridiculed by the entire independent state for a whole year." Yuan glared at him. "Don't be ridiculous. What about this dress, huh? It's so pretty." Big Dipper stared at the dress in Yuan's hands. It couldn't be any pinker and was covered in flowery lace borders and ribbons and had a matching pair of white knee-high socks. It was seriously too cute. Big Dipper clutched his nose. It is pretty. But you're the president of the Fearless Alliance. It'd be a travesty if you wore this." Yuan's face darkened. She was a girl too. So how was it a travesty if she wore this? Yuan blurted without thinking, "I'm going on a date. Do you want me to wear that dirty and scraggy beggar outfit there? That's a travesty." Big Dipper, date? Isn't she going to a conference? Are you too lazy to even conceal your intentions? Don't you already have your vinegar factory owner? Why haven't you given up on Lord Azura yet? Can you digest them all? While Big Dipper launched complaint after complaint inwardly, 7-Star contributed his opinion from the side. "Lord Azura probably won't like this outfit." Yuan was startled. Oh right, that guy's taste had always been very strange, and regardless of what she wore, it would probably be the same to him. "Tisk, fine, I'll wear my normal outfit." Yuan pursed her lips unhappily. Big Dipper released a fierce sigh of relief and quietly whispered, "Old 7, good job." In the end, Yuan still wore the Fearless Alliance's uniform, her signature black beggar's clothes. It was loose and casual but not as tattered as before. 7-Star had tailored a brand new, custom-made outfit for her with a gigantic, Fearless, embroidered in cursive on the back. This outfit complemented and suited Yuan's languid and nonchalant aura rather well, giving her the feeling of an expert. Yuan was reluctantly satisfied as she surveyed herself in the mirror and finally entered the car, heading for the location of the conference. Prison seriously knew how to treat themselves. The conference was held at a hot springs resort. It had gorgeous scenery and was equipped with all sorts of entertainment options and services. The conference started at night, so everyone could have some fun and relax before the conference. Chapter 1983. Taking this face into consideration, Si Yihan still acted aloof toward Yuan and wouldn't answer unless she madly bombarded him in messages. However, Yuan didn't mind and would send a few messages whenever she was free regardless of whether he responded or not. As soon as she arrived and got out of the car, she sent him a message, "Darling, I'm here. Are you also here?" Big Dipper happened to see the message Yuan sent to the owner of the Independent States Vinegar Factory, and his eyes popped out of their sockets. Damn! What's going on? Could it be this owner of the Independent States Vinegar Factory was also one of the attendees of today's conference? Yuan didn't notice Big Dipper peeping and cheerily continued to send messages. At the same time, at a certain villa in the depths of the hot springs resort, 3 people sat under a gigantic ancient locust tree. "Say, old Xia, why are you holding a conference for no reason? Why did you have to drag me back to this terrible place from China? I'm bored to death. One of the people voiced his complaints while looking incredibly bored. He had a head of curly brown hair that reached his shoulders and was wearing a wine-red silk dress shirt with only one button crookedly fastened by his collar while the rest were casually unfastened. The man sitting across from the speaker had his black, short hair combed back and was wearing an iron gray suit and a grave and stern expression. Hearing that, he took a sip of the pu'er tea from his cup before retorting in disapproval, "You've already gone out and had your fun for 3 months. Isn't that enough? It's time to do business." The red-shirt man pursed his lips and turned to the man who had been staring at his phone since he sat down under the shade of the tree before complaining, "Hey, isn't that unfair, old Xie? I only had 3 months of fun, but Yi frolicked around in China for several years, alright? Why aren't you lecturing him? Also, that irresponsible older brother of yours flat out handed the responsibility to you before running to China to have fun. He even relied on his face and schmoozed into getting the undeserved title of Best Actor. He's deceived so many adorable young women. He's utterly shameless." Xie Qianchuan, the man wearing an iron gray suit, didn't want to mention his awful elder brother and glanced at Si Yihan. When Xie Qianchuan saw that the other man wasn't listening to them at all and had his head lost in the clouds, he exasperatedly asked, "Yi, are you waiting for a call?" "No," the man calmly replied as he looked up, revealing a gorgeous face that made the scenery around them dim in color. Jiang Lihan was contemptuous. "What? You're clearly absent-minded. Look at him, old Xie. He's obviously indulging in pleasure and forgetting his home and duties. His heart is obviously elsewhere." "Don't misuse idioms," Xie Qianchuan admonished, his head pounding. At that moment, a message tone chimed from Si Yihan's phone. Si Yihan clicked open the message almost instantly. "MW, darling, I'm here. Are you also here? She also came today." As though he had been waiting for this news all along, Si Yihan's worries finally eased. However, he both wanted to see her and was afraid of seeing her. Jiang Lihan raised his brows. What happened? Did some trouble arise from the ancient clan again? Aside from that, he seriously didn't know what could dominate that guy's attention so much. Xie Qianchuan also asked, "Is it your mother?" Chilliness surfaced in Si Yihan's eyes. "She's no longer related to me." Jiang Lihan curled his lips. "That's true. You paid back everything you owed back then. So why are you so absent-minded?" Si Yihan's face was frosty. "None of your business. Tisk, you're still as unlikable as before. However, taking your face into consideration, I'll forgive you," Jiang Lihan said. Xie Qianchuan interjected, "Ali, have you prepared the speech I told you to prepare yet?" Chapter 1984. Damn face judger. Jiang Lihan glanced at Xie Qianchuan before promptly clutching his eyes like he was in immense agony. "Old Xie, you're too ugly. Don't talk to me. Ever since Gigi ran away and you became the leader, I've had to see your face every day. I'm at the limits of my partnership with your Slaughter's Gate. Treasure me well, alright? I've given up so much for our alliance." Xie Qianchuan's face was as dark as the bottom of a pan. No matter how you looked at it, his face was still rather handsome. It merely wasn't as pretty as his brother, that temptress, and Si Yihan's heaven-defying face, alright? How was it too ugly? This damn face judger. Xie Qianchuan seriously wanted to give him a round of kicking. Jiang Lihan acted like he didn't see Xie Qianchuan's glowering expression and stood up to stretch. "Ah, being with you two dull guys is truly too boring. I'm better off going to soak in the hot springs. Bye-bye." Before leaving, Jiang Lihan didn't forget to suicidally attempt to touch Si Yihan's face. "Yi, tell me, you have such a good-looking face, so can't you show a few more expressions? Looking so serious every day is so boring." Before Jiang Lihan could touch him, Si Yihan moved away, his expressionless face so chilly it could freeze someone. "Do you want to die?" "Humph. I won't believe it. Isn't there something that can make you change your expression?" Jiang Lihan yanked his hand back and angrily walked away. Big Dipper was still in shock about the fact that the vinegar factory owner was attending today's conference when Yuan said, "There's some free time now, so do whatever you want." She couldn't express her wish to get rid of them any clearer. Out of the question. Crooks are mixed in with the honest folks in this place, so we need to closely protect you. 7-star was disapproving. This is a conference hosted by prison, so who would dare to cause trouble here? Don't worry you two, just treat this as a vacation. It's not good to enjoy being a third wheel at such a young age. After saying that, Yuan ditched Big Dipper and 7-star and headed toward the entrance to the hot springs resort by herself with the invitation in hand. Big Dipper, 7-star, the last sentence was the main point, right? After entering the resort, Yuan started strolling around randomly without a destination in mind. She didn't have any other method since there was no way she could meet with the leader of heavenly hatred at her current level and it wouldn't be convenient to talk during the conference itself, so she had to try her luck. Yuan seemed to have arrived early since the place was fairly empty and she didn't run into any people. As she went deeper down the path, mist curled around the air as she entered the hot springs. Yuan crossed a path made of blue stones and saw a person soaking in the hot springs up ahead. The man's back was to her, so she couldn't see his face. Seeing someone there, Yuan was about to turn around when an odd feeling struck her, halting her steps. This person's silhouette was somewhat familiar. Whether it was before she lost her memories or after, she had never seen the leader of heavenly hatred, so she searched for photos of Jiang Lihan from some newspapers and magazines in the independent state. Heavenly hatred and Slaughter's Gate, especially heavenly hatred, were very high profile and made frequent public appearances, so photos of them weren't difficult to find. She remembered Jiang Lihan had a head of signature brown, curly hair that reached his shoulders. Just like this man soaking in the hot spring in front of her, could it be? Yuan furtively asked, gang leader. Jiang. When the man in the hot spring heard this, he lazily opened his eyes and turned to look behind him. Chapter 1985. What was there to treasure about that thing? The man turned around, accompanied by the sound of water splashing. Yuan's face filled joyful surprise when she recognized the man as Jiang Lihan. Gang leader Jiang. Nice to meet you. Yuan hastily greeted. You are. The man examined the girl with narrowed eyes, a sharp glint flashing through them. Yuan directly turned around, showing him the characters on her back. Oh. The Fearless Alliance, Jiang Lihan lightly chuckled due to Yuan's unique self-introduction. Nice to meet you, President Bai. Want to join me for a soak? Yuan, please. Can't someone treat me like a woman? Ahem, no thanks. Actually, I was specifically looking for you, gang leader Jiang, because I have a request to make. I didn't expect to be so lucky and really run into you, Yuan frankly said. Oh. Jiang Lihan sardonically glanced at her. Actually, if this was any other day and someone interrupted my soak in the hot springs, they'd probably be a corpse by now. Yuan reflexively took a step back. This man in front of her really wasn't someone to be trifled with. However, Jiang Lihan looked her up and down before finally focusing on her face. However, your face is enough to make me give you 3 minutes. Yuan, should I feel honored? Jiang Lihan slouched forward on the side of the hot spring and continued, his eyes bright, if you're willing to change into female clothes and come see me again in a dress, perhaps I can give you 5 minutes. Yuan, that's a viable approach too. Jiang Lihan continued, if you're willing to let down your long hair, I can give you another minute. Yuan, I'm so grateful to you. At that moment, Yuan felt Lady Luck smiling on her. So this Jiang Lihan was probably a kindred spirit? An awful face judger too. She had only heard that this guy had a terrible sense of humor and liked to pull pranks. Why didn't she discover he was also a face judger? She didn't expect her face to come into use too, an unexpected gain. Ahem, 3 minutes is enough. Yuan quickly answered after calming down. Jiang Lihan looked regretful. All right then, tell me whatever you want. Yuan swiftly expressed her intentions. I want the school monument of Scarlet Flames Academy. Name a price, gang leader Jiang. Jiang Lihan was initially startled before promptly laughing out loud. Little girl, you seriously know how to make crazy demands. Don't you know that thing is my most prized and adored possession in my life? Yi Wanwan, she really didn't understand what there was to treasure about that thing. Jiang Lihan combed back the wet hair hanging on his forehead. Every time I see that thing, I can imagine that old codger's furiously stomping appearance. It's truly too fun, isn't it? Yi Wanwan, when he says, that old codger, he's referring to the elderly headmaster of Scarlet Flames Academy, right? This person really has a terrible sense of humor. The rumors are completely right about this part. Then, what would make you willing to give that school monument to me? Anything as long as it's within my capabilities. Yi Wanwan made another attempt. Jiang Lihan hummed in contemplation as he mulled over it. Well, it's not improbable. As long as you can show me a better, more fun spectacle. Yi Wanwan was exasperated. How can I show him a more fun spectacle? What better spectacle are you referring to, gang leader Jiang? Yi Wanwan tentatively inquired. Chapter 1986. Will you play or not? Let me think. Jiang Lihan lowered his head in serious contemplation and snapped his fingers a few seconds later. Oh right, do you know Lord Azura? Have you seen him? I know him. I've seen him. Yi Wanwan didn't expect him to suddenly mention Lord Azura, so she was briefly startled. Jiang Lihan sighed. That guy is seriously too boring. I really want to see something interesting from him. So what do you want to see? Yi Wanwan asked. How about, you forcefully kiss him and let me see his reaction? Jiang Lihan looked energized, thinking that he thought of a splendid idea. Yi Wanwan's eyes shot open, and she was silent for a while. Are you serious? Why would he have such a strange request? Also, boss, do you know? This might be a freebie point. Of course I'm serious. How about it? Will you take a shot? You have to know what that guy hates the most is other people touching him, especially women. If you dare, I'll give you what you want. Jiang Lihan was fired up with excitement. Yi Wanwan responded seriously, gang leader Jiang, your request is too difficult. Aren't you asking for my death? If this was someone else, this request would definitely cost them their life. No one in the independent state would dare to do such a thing, but Jiang Lihan clearly raised such a request despite knowing it was impossible. Jiang Lihan blinked and asked, you demanded my little treasure as soon as you got here. You're also asking for my life. I'm the one at a disadvantage. Yi Wanwan, how can this person be so shameless? Yi Wanwan answered, fine, I'll go. But we have a deal. Don't weasel out of it shamelessly after I've done the act. You're really going? TSK, I've always heard bro flat top is gutsy but didn't expect that you were actually an idiot, not gutsy. An ignorant person is truly fearless and missing several brain cells. Jiang Lihan had a sympathetic expression on his face. Isn't someone who would run to do such a suicidal thing an idiot? Yi Wanwan took a deep breath and chanted to herself 100 times, 15,000 honor points, to keep herself from blowing up on him. So will you play or not? As long as you agree, I won't go back on our deal. I won't, I absolutely won't. As long as you dare. Jiang Lihan vigorously shook his head. Alright, then, just as Yi Wanwan was about to agree, Jiang Lihan suddenly revoked his demand. Paragraph break, hold on. I changed my mind. This isn't fun. It would be so boring if you ran away right after you kissed him. Yi Wanwan took another deep breath. What else do you want? Jiang Lihan reconsidered it for half a day. Hold on, there has to be a condition. There's gotta be a time stipulation. You need to kiss him for a full minute, and you must kiss his lips. Anywhere else won't count. Yi Wanwan rolled her eyes at him. Boss, kill me right now. Read the next chapter on our VIP novel. Calm Jiang Lihan didn't seem to think he was too demanding. The kiss on the lips can't be changed, but the time can be slightly reduced. How about 30 seconds? How many seconds do you think it'd take for Lord Azura to kill me? N. How about 10 seconds? It can't be any shorter. Yi Wanwan took a deep breath. Fine. If this was their honeymoon period, she could kiss him however long she wanted, but considering her current relationship with Si Yihan, lasting a mere 10 seconds was slightly dangerous. Coincidentally, shortly after she and Jiang Lihan finished negotiating, the sound of footsteps was heard nearby. Soon, they saw two men dressed in bathrobes heading their way. Yi Wanwan recognized the man in front as the leader of Slaughter's Gate, Xie Qianchuan, and the man a step behind him was the protagonist of their bet. Lord Azura. Jiang Lihan urgently sent her a look. Action. Chapter 1987. The forcefully kissed Lord Azura Si Yihan was forcefully dragged there by Xie Qianchuan to soak in the hot spring and relax. Jiang Lihan and Si Yihan. One of them was lazy as heck and always ran off to have fun, slacking off and going on strike because Xie Qianchuan was too ugly, while the other worked day and night without rest and couldn't be pulled away from his work. He was seriously wretched by anxiety. Si Yihan's thoughts were still preoccupied by Yi Wanwan's message just now. He knew she had probably arrived at the resort already but never would have expected to run into her here, and in this kind of situation too. Jiang Lihan was soaking in the hot spring and leaning against the side as he said something while looking happy. That guy, Jiang Lihan, liked to soak naked, so he definitely wasn't wearing a single piece of clothing. Although Si Yihan knew Yi Wanwan couldn't see anything from her distance and angle, this scene still made fury boil in his veins. Why is she here? What's she talking about with Jiang Lihan? Why do they look so happy chatting? When Yi Wanwan turned around, what entered her sight was Si Yihan's extremely awful and chilly expression. Ah, damn it, he really is still angry. What should I do? My honor points. At that moment, Jiang Lihan just had to mouth the sentence, complete the task within 1 hour, to her. Yi Wanwan was about to pass out from anger. Why did this bastard keep randomly adding conditions in the middle of things? If she had to do it within 1 hour, this current moment was most likely the only chance she would get to see Si Yihan. Yi Wanwan was afraid Jiang Lihan would capriciously add another odd stipulation, so she had no choice but to swiftly sprint towards Si Yihan, mulling over her tactic as she stared at him. What should I do? If I kiss him as soon as I run up to him, it's very possible I'll be interrupted and won't last 10 seconds. After all, when that guy was grouchy with her before, he wouldn't let her even touch his hand, so how could he allow her to kiss him? However, if she needed to explain things to him, how the fuck should she start? As Si Yihan watched the girl suddenly charging up to him, his brows furrowed. Wanwan's expression looked very angry. She's angry. What's she angry about? Oh right, President Bai, Yi Wanwan heard Jiang Lihan calling her again. Don't tell me he's adding another condition. In her urgency, Yi Wanwan didn't have time to think anymore and fiercely pounced towards Si Yihan. As expected, she saw Si Yihan subconsciously leaning back to dodge her. So Yi Wanwan leaned close to his ear and threatened him as she gritted her teeth. No. Dodging. You aren't allowed to move for 10 seconds no matter what I do. Otherwise, I'm going to bring a loudspeaker to the rooftop of the Martial Arts Union. Yi Wanwan used the same trick as before. Si Yihan became dazed when he met her vicious gaze and really didn't move another inch. However, it wasn't due to her threat. It was because her eyes were so close to him, the brilliant light in her eyes was so close to him. He couldn't look away. Yi Wanwan was surprised by this reaction and quickly stood on her tippy toes, snatching the opportunity to press a kiss on Si Yihan's lips. When her soft lips met his mouth, Si Yihan felt like he was awoken from a dream, disbelief brimming from his eyes and his hand, which was next to her, reflexively lifted. He didn't expect her to suddenly kiss him there, so he dumbfoundedly stared at her. Yi Wanwan thought Si Yihan was about to move away and became anxious. She tightly looped her arms around his neck, pulling him toward him and kissing him harder. At the same time, she quietly warned him, no moving. Chapter 1988 Who Gave Her the Guts? And so, Si Yihan's spine stiffened as he returned to being an unmoving statue, allowing the girl's lips to remain pressed against his, and he even softly bit her lips. 1 second. 2 seconds. 3 seconds. Si Yihan didn't know how much time passed, but it was long enough to make him understand this wasn't a delusion. At that moment, an enormous crash, accompanied by the sound of water splashing, was heard. Blah. Cough 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 cough. Shit. Jiang Lihan shouted as he accidentally slipped into the hot spring from excessive shock. No way could he have expected this woman would seriously dare to kiss the guy. Damn. Who gave her the guts? Did she really want to die? Xie Qianchuan also looked astonished as he stood there, disoriented, as he stared in disbelief at the girl who suddenly launched herself at Si Yihan and forcefully kissed him. Where did this girl come from? Is she mad? Does she know what she's doing? Si Yihan, Lord Azura of Azura, actually got forcefully kissed by a woman in my territory? Damn. President Bai, aren't you too dicey? Not caring about life or death and taking up arms at a moment's whim. You truly deserve the title of Bro Flat Top. Jiang Lihan finally managed to staggeringly crawl back up and gasp in amazement. He even started clapping. As he spoke, Yuanwan reached 10 seconds in her kiss. Si Yihan really didn't move at all from start to end. Jiang Lihan felt like Si Yihan had to be stunned by anger, so he sympathetically looked at Yuanwan and said, President Bai, do you need me to go to the Fearless Alliance and inform them to start preparing your funeral and burial? Then he turned to Si Yihan with a schadenfreude smile. Not bad, not bad. I successfully managed to see an incredibly shocked expression on this guy's face, alas. This really wasn't easy at all. Next, he will definitely start killing people in his rage, right? Right? Hee hee. As Jiang Lihan thought that, he stretched his neck toward the duo and watched the upcoming show with immense anticipation. Xie Qianchuan was able to guess Yuanwan's identity based on her outfit and Jiang Lihan's words just now. Although he was still clueless about the situation, he knew this woman was definitely going to die. However, it seriously wasn't appropriate to spill blood during today's circumstances. They came here to make alliances, things would go down the drain if a leader suddenly died and by way of murder too. What was most wretched was that this woman committed such a contemptible crime against Si Yihan. So how could she still be allowed to live? Xie Qianchuan was racking his brain on how he could convince Si Yihan to act otherwise but was startled by the events a second later. Si Yihan's brain was still out of order earlier, but he quickly collected his thoughts and could tell there was something fishy about Yuanwan suddenly kissing him based on Jiang Lihan's reaction. He thought it was very probable Wanwan didn't kiss him because she wanted to kiss him just now. There was another reason. This knowledge turned the ice in Si Yihan's eyes into a blazing inferno. Phew. That was close, she reached 10 seconds. And Jiang Lihan personally witnessed it, so he couldn't deny anything this time, right? Yuanwan finally relaxed after meeting the terms but instantly became dumbstruck when she met Si Yihan's flaming eyes a second later. I'm doomed. How should I placate this guy in front of me? About that, actually. I can explain. Yuanwan raised her hands, attempting to beg for mercy. Ahahaha, he won't allow you any time to say your last words. Jiang Lihan was still giggling and rejoicing in her misfortune. Annoyance filled Yuanwan's face. Why does this guy deserve a beating so much? No need to explain. Si Yihan's frighteningly chilly voice rang out next to her ears. Yuanwan's poor heart jumped in fright, and she urgently mobilized her brain cells to think of a solution. Si Yihan stared at her face intensely and leaned down a second later, abruptly kissing her on the lips. Chapter 1989 Were neither pure nor innocent caught off guard by this kiss, Yuanwan was bewildered. Who am I? Where am I? What is going on? As for Jiang Lihan, he was originally waiting for Si Yihan to purge the place with blood, but instead, Si Yihan kissed her back of his own will. Jiang Lihan was absolutely stupefied and felt as if the deepest part of his soul just suffered a heavy blow. A second later, a plop was heard as Jiang Lihan, who just steadied himself, slipped back into the water. Xia Qianchuan's fisted hand covered his mouth as a round of intense coughing seized him. Gurgle gurgle, Jiang Lihan finally managed to get back on his feet after swallowing several mouthfuls of water. Jiang Lihan couldn't believe this scene before his eyes at all and crazily rubbed his temples. No no no. I must have gotten dizzy from soaking in the hot spring for too long. However, while he was consoling himself, a second later, he saw Si Yihan lean down and gently place a light peck on Bai Feng's lips again, as though savoring the last second. Then Si Yihan aloofly said, "We're even now." Jiang Lihan was stupefied. The question, "Did this world collapse on itself?" was written all over his face. How is this fucking even? Even if you beat him to death, he never would have expected this development. Si Yihan glanced at Jiang Lihan in the hot spring and picked up a giant bath towel sitting on a nearby shelf before casually throwing it onto Jiang Lihan, tightly covering the man up from the face down. Jiang Lihan hastily pulled off the towel from his head. "Shit, what are you doing? Are you trying to suffocate me to death?" Si Yihan still wasn't satisfied and turned his gaze onto Xia Qianchuan. Although Xia Qianchuan was wearing a bathrobe, it was loosely open and the belt wasn't tied. Si Yihan stared at him. "Belt. Tie it." Oh okay. Xia Qianchuan had no idea why he felt scared by Si Yihan, so he obediently tied his bathrobe. What the heck was this? Yi, did you take the wrong medicine? Jiang Lihan incredulously looked at the man in front of him. Read the next chapter on our VIP novel. However, Si Yihan's world was obviously only composed of one person right now, so he ignored Jiang Lihan and turned to Yuan. "Explain." "It's over. He was finally executing me." Yuan played with her fingers and quickly admitted her wrongdoings without hesitation. "I was wrong." After saying that, Yuan felt something was off. Why the heck did she have to apologize? Yuan immediately changed her attitude and self-righteously corrected herself. "Wait. Why am I explaining? Are you saying I need a reason to kiss you?" Looking at the girl's justified expression, Si Yihan couldn't figure out what to say. On the side, Jiang Lihan, who found himself feeling a little cold, looked at Si Yihan then Yuan, finally detecting something strange about the atmosphere around these two people. He forcefully flung off the towel on his head and intently stared at Yuan as he angrily shouted, hold on. Damn. Bai Feng, you freaking dared to trick me. You've long had an affair with this guy, right?" Yuan, he finally realized. But it was too late now. Yuan seriously said, "Nope, you're overthinking. We're pure and innocent." The second she said that, a slender finger gently rubbed her ear. Seeing her attempt to wash away her relationship with him in front of Jiang Lihan, Si Yihan's deep and husky voice spoke above her head, enunciating each word carefully, "Pure and innocent."